Hello everyone and welcome to today's live stream. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot, a member of PMDG's tech team, and today I'm going to take you along for two sectors from Cologne to... Hello everyone and welcome to today's live stream. I'm Emmanuel, and I'm messing up my audio. I am sorry for that. So, today I'm going to take you along from Cologne to Salzburg and then on to Milano Linate, going through 3 different VATSIM events that we have around. So, that means that today we are looking at the Cologne-Bonn Online Day, which happens every second week. Thereafter we'll fly into the twice weekly Austrian event, where Austria is fully staffed, and some of you are probably going to ask themselves, so why don't we go into Innsbruck then, when we're going to Austria anyway? The answer to that is, I'd rather spend my time showing you around and flying you around than sitting around in a holding waiting to get into Innsbruck. Now, if we're totally honest, Salzburg has some very interesting circling approach for runway 33, even though the weather forecast does predict that it's probably going to be runway 15 today. And runway 15 has a very interesting missed approach, as well as a very interesting engine out SID. I'm going to talk you through some of the peculiarities of Salzburg Airport as we are heading over there today. And thereafter we'll do a scenic flight over the sunset from Salzburg onto Milano Linate, where we have our Milano Nights event today. So that I'm hoping to finish at about 11 PM German time. That equals to around 2100 UTC. Right, that's our plan for today. Then, see lots of greetings in the comments already, so I'm going to summarize it here. Hello everyone. Please excuse me for not answering every single greeting straight away in person. Alright, so we have our operational flight plan that I have prepared already, and I'm going to put that into the comments below, so give me a second for that. And once you guys have the operational flight plan, then we can start setting up our aircraft and making our way. We have our operational... So, here's our operational flight plan today for our first sector, going on as Austrian 211 Kilo. And it's going to be a fairly short flight of approximately an hour and maybe just about an hour. So, scenery is Aerosoft's Cologne, then we are using Digital Design Salzburg over there, and finally we have our Milano Linate scenery as well. They should all be linked in the stream's description, so if I have forgot something, just let me know in the comments. Getting on here, our aircraft is cold and dark, so let's start powering it up. Again, I'm not going to go into too much details of all the exact procedures operating the 737, as I have made some detailed tutorials about them, so if you have any questions about the procedures, however, you are more than welcome to ask them, and I'll see that I can find a little bit of time to answer them all. So, let's get along then with our loading of the aircraft. That's really first thing you always want to care about. Got our fuel truck here. Looking at our operational flight plan, I am looking at fairly good conditions actually. There is a slight chance for some turbulence, however, as we get along. As you can see in the significant weather charts that are contained at the end of the flight plan. So there is a clear air turbulence area between 270 and 430. We're planned for level 350, so we'll just have to get along and see if there's going to be any turbulence. The operational flight plan itself, however, does not indicate, so we can see a maximum shear factor of 2 at the waypoint Basu. Now that is not a definite indication, but it is a very good hint at what we can expect. So shear factors of 3 and greater can indicate some light turbulence. I've seen as much as 17 and then in the end nothing happened. And I've also had flights where we had a max shear of 1 and we got into quite some high end of moderate turbulence, to put it that way. Looking at our destination weather, Salzburg is reporting light showers of rain with few towering cumulus, and apart from that it's mainly few clouds, 5,000, scattered at 8,000, and temperatures of 25 degrees. Our alternate is Munich, and Munich is reporting cavalcade conditions with just very light wind from the west today as well, and the NOTAMs are reading good as well, so I don't see any reason why we should actually not go with anything more than the standard fuel. So standard fuel for this flight, 4.7, and that is actually all I think is going to be necessary for today. So we'll load up 4.7 tons of fuel. You guys can start fueling. And for the passengers, we have planned 143. It's rather full, just like in real life at the moment. Holiday season has already started here in North Rhine-Westphalia, so we can expect quite some full aircraft. And finally, we're looking at about 1,200 kilos in the hold. Some people taking along equipment and stuff. Right, enough data out of date. Yep, that's unfortunate at the moment, but for internal purposes I have to keep the nav data that's supplied with the add-on at the moment and cannot update it right now. Most of you will probably be able to figure why, but bear with me for being under a non-disclosure agreement, so I cannot give you any further details on that particular matter at the moment. Weather forecast in Cologne indicates it's probably going to be runway 3 to right with the Kumik 1 Charlie departure. And then for our routing, it's going to be a Lima 603 Tasca. Direct is Sati. By the way, just in case some of you are wondering and trying to plan along with a sim brief and actually flying along maybe, just be aware that the routing I'm using is not the standard SimBrief routing, because the standard SimBrief routing is a low-level routing, and I did want to climb above flight level 240. So I actually went on a ed-gla.co.uk, which is a site where you can find real-life flight plans. And over there I've got myself a route of a Eurowings flight from, I believe, 2 or 3 months ago. But I validated that flight using Eurocontrol, so it's actually still fully valid and a working routing. So ILS 15 most likely with a Patron Romeo and Salzburg transition. So Cosnex 20, we're looking at 2 tons of reserve fuel, and then zero fuel is estimated at 51.7. Cruise level 350, that's gonna do for today, because we are expecting a rather early descent. I'll just fill all the forecast and everything out already, because it is such a short flight. I do want to have a little bit of time available to explain to you guys in cruise why we are doing some things the way we are, and especially focusing a little bit on Salzburg and what to expect at Salzburg Airport. And of course the engine out SID, for those of you who forgot what that is. Basically it's the SID we're going to fly in case we have an engine failure, because we will probably not be able to maintain our standard climb gradients with the engine failure, and thereby not be able to meet the standard SID requirements. So that's pretty much going straight at 4 miles from KBO. I can show you that on the plan page here. And then you make a right turn to Wipper VOR, hold a 360 inbound, drawing a 180 radial, because that is actually showing me my actual inbound track there. Right, so Jeb Z is asking there, how do you know what transition you need? Do you mean transition altitude or the approach transition? If you mean the approach transition, then it's basically, you can either look at the right FMC, I sometimes do that in real life, and then you just click on the back here and you see the routing going from Bardet to Sierra Bravo Golf. Then you can just take the Sierra Bravo Golf transition. Or you can look at the operational flight plan as well. At the end of the nav log, you can see the waypoints that are part of the star. So from Bardet to Salzburg VOR. Or you have just flown into the airport so often that you more or less know what to expect. And that is honestly what I just did on here. I just had my idea already, what I can expect, and that's how I put it in. So, Anel Prober, excuse me if I have not pronounced that correctly. Does your operator have SEC on the NG? I'm not 100% sure right now what you mean with the SEC, so if you could just clarify that. Ovran, the Cologne event begins on the hour, so in 16 minutes. And Anel Prober, do you still have the load sheet cutout you put on the lower display unit, or is that old school? We no longer use the load sheet, we are using our load information document now. That stuff changed when we went to the electronic weight imbalance on our EFBs. So we have the load information document now, and you can fold that into a way that it basically shows you the call sign. And below that, the number of people on board of your aircraft. And that basically gives you a little bit of information that's handy to have, especially the number of passengers on board. Ah, secondary flight plan. Okay, yes, we do have that on our aircraft. And CK, what's the purpose of using 5001 for the transition altitude? I explained that in the tutorial videos, so excuse me for not going into detail here. Best if you have a look into the tutorial videos. So in there I explain it. It's gotta be probably the FMC setup tutorial, I guess, where I explained it. And Fantastics FN, I'm not allowed to disclose which airline I work for. I'm sure that by the SOP many of you can make it up yourselves, but I'm not a spokesperson for the airline, so that's why I am not in a position to actually say which airline I work for. Sorry. It's a major European airline. Right, quickly going to finish off this setup here because I really want to go at right at the start of the event, hoping that we will probably get to see the full ATC along the route. So I'm going to keep answering your questions in a moment. Oops, just noticed I didn't quite set real weather yet, or real time yet, so just done that. In the meantime, how's our loading going? Refueling is done, 4.7 tons of fuel on board. Boarding is almost complete, and these guys can start loading as soon as they are ready. That's very good. So, 1215, and what's the ATIS again in Cologne? 3213, I think. Okay, so let's get ourselves some charts then. I really hope that the Navigraph app is finally fixed. I tried to experiment a little bit with it over the last couple of days because with earlier versions it did cause me simulator hangs. But they did do an update on that, and ever since I have not had an hang. So let's just hope that today's not going to be that one day where I find out that I'm actually wrong over here. Okay, so I have my operational flight plan in front of me on my iPad, by the way. I recommend you, if you don't have it ready quite yet, the link is in the comments of the video, so you can get it in there. So let's start it and go ahead with our departure briefing, actually. So our threats for this departure, we're in Cologne, so we do have a crossing runway system. I'm going to show you that on the charts right now. And we'll have to cross the active runway 24 for our departure, taxiing to 32 right. So our routing is going to lead us down here, over Alpha, crossing 24, and then we'll take intersection Alpha 2 figures, which is over here. And that means that crossing the runway, there might be traffic coming from either side, so we'll have to have a good look out. Another one is wake turbulence separation. Cologne is frequented by a lot of cargo aircraft, many of which are heavy aircraft, including 747s and MD-11s. So wake turbulence separation is something we have to keep an eye on. And we'll just take the timing as well. It's 2 minutes that we'll need after a heavy before we can go. And I would say that basically concludes our threats for this departure. So let's take a route check. I'm going to take that from the operational flight plan that's in the comments. So we're going from Echo Delta Delta Kilo, Lima Oscar Whiskey Sierra, Alpha Uniform Alpha 211 Kilo. Now routing is leading us from Kumik, Lima 603 Tasca, direct Isati, direct Bazu, direct Amud, Tango 703 Arbax, Tango 108 Ostas, Tango 700 Badit, and we are looking at a ground distance of 363 nautical miles versus 362, 2.6 tons of fuel remaining, and we need 2.0. That gives us 600 minutes extra, and that is round about 15 minutes of extra flying time. Instrument cross check, time UTC 1651, altimeter 1024, reading 230. The flight directors are on minus master, and the standby instruments are set, and the MFRA is going to be in the region of about 1350 in a second. Here we go. So it's going to be a left seat takeoff from runway 32 right, flaps 5, NADP2 with a buckup at 1500. We have specially OSIT straight at 4 miles, right turn to Viper VOR. Can see that on the navigation display over here. Right turn to Viper, pick up the hold, 360 inbound, left turns, and climb at 4,000 feet. That's safe above the MSA of 3,800 feet. Above 80 knots, I will only call stop for engine fire, failure, predictive wind shear warning, aircraft unable or unsafe to fly. If I call stop, I will simultaneously close the thrust lever, disengage the auto throttle, apply maximum manual braking, and verify operation of the RTO auto brakes. I'll manually raise the speed brake lever, apply maximum reverse thrust. When the aircraft comes to stop, I set the park and brake. And if you call stop, I will note the brakes on, speed call speed brakes up or speed brakes not up, and thrust reverse normal up, normal indications. I'll call 100 knots, 8 knots, 6 knots, and the runway distance remaining. Verify your actions, call in emissions, I call auto brake disarm, and select flap 40 when the parking brake has been set and advise ATC of the reject. We then identify the failure and carry out the angels as appropriate. If we decide to evacuate the aircraft, we do the evacuation checklist. Time permitting, we will pull the CVR circuit breaker. And if the call before V1 is keep going, there will be no actions below 400 feet except to cancel any warnings, raise landing with a positive rate. 400 feet, verify heading, select carry out the memory items. At the MFRA, we will buck up and retract the flaps on schedule. Flaps up no light, select level change, max continued thrust, engage the automatics, non-normal checklist, normal checklist, then PIOC, NITS, PA, and then we'll decide on the further course of action. Pushback is going to be to the right hand side, and then for the taxi out, let's have a look into the chart again. Basically, we are on the stance over here. So, parking on Charlie 2, pushback is probably going to be onto Mike Blue. And we'll go from Mike Blue, Bravo, onto Alpha over here. And then we're going all the way via Alpha, crossing runway 24, and we'll take Alpha 2 intersection figures. Finally, our SID is the Kumik 1 Charlie departure. That is on a chart over here. 10-3 Golf from the 8th April 2022. Transition altitude is 5,000 feet. With is 5,001 in the FMC. Speed max 250 at or below flight level 100. So let's just take this. Here we are, 250 below flight level 100. Our routing, conventional, is taking us straight at 1.8 dmi from Cologne, Bonn, VOR. Right turn, radial 242 inbound to Gamminghausen until 21.1 mile. Then we'll make a right turn, join the radial 106 outbound Wipper until crossing 190 from Gamminghausen. And thereafter we proceed ANAF to Kumik. And the ANAF version of that thing is Delta Kilo 041 above 700, right turn 035, maximum 210 knots. I'll put the stop altitude on the next waypoint as well. Then Delta Kilo 038, Podip Kumik. And we contact Lung radar when passing 2,000 feet on 135 decimal 350. Do you have any questions on the briefing? No. Okay, very good. So, couple more of your questions as I see them. Ufran, when do you plan your push for? I'm not sure if the ATC will give me clearance to push. Basically, I'm looking at a pushback at in about 10 minutes-ish. But it's ATC's problem to get us going. You request your clearance whenever you feel ready, and I will request my clearance whenever I feel ready, and then air traffic control is going to do the rest. And Boudwin, regarding SimBrief, in an earlier flight I said that I would like to work with lower baggage weights because of smaller suitcases nowadays. How do I get that to work in SimBrief? I did do a fleet planning tutorial where I have explained how I'm doing this kind of stuff in SimBrief. The short version is I changed the default baggage weight to 0, and then I just change my cargo weight by multiplying the number 13, which is the average we assume per suitcase, with the number of expected suitcases. And Casper, having some problems there with VNAV jumping. That is going to become quite a bit better when the LNAV update is out. Fantastics FN, have I ever encountered clear air turbulence, and is it as bad as people say? Well, I have encountered clear air turbulence so often I can't even count it. And how bad it is really depends. Mostly it's just light turbulence, so that's fine. You put the seatbelt signs on, things solved. But sometimes it does get quite a bit stronger, and yep, that absolutely happens every now and then. And well, if it really becomes unbearable, you might have to change your flight level. So it can be anything from a non-event all the way to severe turbulence. And Fadra, why is the buck up at 1500? NADP2 puts it at 800, doesn't it? Well, no, it doesn't. The ICAO minimum for NADP2 is 800. but German law says it's 1500. The EASA standard is 1000, and there are many more variations of it. So in my company the standard is 1000, but since Germany wants it to be at 1500, we have to brief it sort of as a special hybrid NADP, but most colleagues here in Germany just say NADP2 backup 1500. And key dash, disable the CBR circuit breaker in the event of an evacuation. Yes, exactly, because we have to preserve the audio recording from the event that led to the evacuation. And since the power is left on, in order to keep the emergency lights going, we pull the CBR circuit breaker. Cabanos. I'm not allowed to talk about which airline I'm flying for or which base I'm based in. And Kjeld, NADP2 stands for Noise Abatement Departure Procedure 2. It basically means when you reduce thrust to climb thrust and when you start accelerating for your flap retraction. So in our case, NADP2 means starting to accelerate 1500 feet above the field elevation, so at about 1700, 1800 feet, and then we'll reduce thrust to climb thrust at 1500 feet. So by now they have finished all the loading. So let's put the APU on. And what do we have? 52.0 versus 51.7. So 300 kilos more, that's within limits. And that gives us a gross weight of 56.8. Alright, so let's have a quick glance at our virtual performance tool. By the way, the guys at Virtual Performance Tool are slowly starting to add the 737-700. So hopefully we'll soon actually have the 700 so that I can show you the complete final CDU pre-flight procedure. But until the time we get it, we'll still have to live with the 800 at Virtual Performance Tool. So bear with me for using that for a short while, and hopefully sooner than later we'll actually have the 700 available there as well. So, Virtual Performance Tool, as said, we've taken the 800 over here, and we are at Cologne. Runway is going to be 32 right, via Alpha 2 intersection. It's going to be a dry runway. The wind 320 at 8, slightly variable, so we'll take 280 at 8 knots, 21 degrees, 1023, optimum 5 auto off. And we're looking at a gross weight of 56,800. So the UK takeoff at 61 degrees. And the crosswind is within limits, so we can actually take that. Okay, so 22k and 61 degrees. 86.5 versus 85.8. That is expected. So, flaps 5 takeoff. Take the CG from here, and the speeds we'll take from the FMC as well until we get the 737-700 in the Virtual Performance tool. Alright, here we are. MFRA 1302. And that's pretty much it for the performance. And Boudwin, is there a reason why we don't put the plant fuel in the FMC? Is that not needed? It's indeed not needed, because if you put a plant fuel in, then the FMC is going to calculate from that plant fuel. But you actually wanted to use the fuel sensors on the aircraft, so that's why you don't put the plant fuel in. Because then it uses the sensors versus it would normally use the plant fuel if you enter it. So let's see. ATIS, Alpha, 2-4 and 3 right, okay. That is expected. Cologne delivery, hello, Austrian 211 kilo information Alpha, request startup. So, are they talking with us? Doesn't look like it. Oh well. They don't seem to be talking with us. Let's see. Give me a second, I just gotta restart vPilot. Looks like it has a problem recognizing my audio. And a Casper, I'm not allowed to talk about beta testing of the LNAV module. I'm under NDA, so I cannot say anything on that topic.
LR212, startup approved for pushback contact ground 121 decimal 725.
Pushback approved, contact ground 121 decimal 725. Bye, thank you LR212.
517 requesting push. Passenger 51 Tango, startup approved for pushback contact ground 121 725. Startup is approved for ground 11725 here.
Cologne delivery, hello, Austrian 211 kilo, information, Alpha request startup.
Austrian 211 kilo, hello, information Alpha, startup approved, clear to Salzburg via Comic 5 Delta departure, flap land route, climb higher to altitude 5,000 feet, squawk 1,000.
Austrian 211 kilo, startup approved, cleared to Salzburg via Comic 5 Delta departure, flap land route, climb bus at 5,000, squawk 1,000, request Comic 1 Charlie, 3 to right.
Austrian 211 kilo, that's not possible for now.
Roger, any reason for that?
Yep, traffic situation.
Roger. Oh boy. Romeo 24, let's see if we can even do that. So we've got to do full replanning. Try it. They never do that at the real Cologne airport. But that said, it's just stupid. If you look at this, basically you're departing in the exact wrong direction. So, takeoff speed's deleted, yep, that's expected. So, we have runway 24, Comic Delta 5000, squawk 1000.
Delivery, this is 068.
That's unchanged, so let's do some performance again before we start off with the
This is 068, request to mention as 5.
So, we have Cologne 24, yeah, closed by NOTAM, there we go. Conditions dry and the wind is 350 at 8. Rest should be unchanged. Calculate. Yeah, selected runway closed due to work in progress. Welcome to VATSIM.
Confirmed squawk 2027.
2027, 068.
So now we have 22k, 45 degrees. 88.5 plus 87.8. Flaps 5 unchanged. Trim is unchanged. Speeds 25 to 631. Which is in, and the trim is 7 units set.
Sun Express, 1 Papa Golf, hello, no flap and received.
Delivery, this F1068, ready for pushback and startup.
F1068, startup approved for pushback, contact ground 121 decimal 725, goodbye.
So let's redo that performance. Oh, sorry, that's it brief.
Current delivery good evening. Zero Charlie Bravo, step Delta 20 request ISR clearance to SIN, information Alpha on board. Charlie Bravo, hello, information Alpha.
So here we are then, Sid Kumik 5 Delta, chart 30-3 Tango 1, effective 25th of February. And the transitional altitude is unchanged, 5000 versus 5001. Routing straight ahead to Delta Kilo 021, then left turn 4.1 Delta Kilo 022, left 087, 19.3 in Cola, and then 079, 8 miles outbound Cola. Actually, we can add 6.5 that, Delta Kilo 150, and then same track 4.5 inbound to Kumik. Climbing altitude 5000 feet is unchanged, and when passing 2000, contact radar 3535. Questions? Okay. So, safety inspection check, start checks down to the line. Services chocks checked, maintenance status checked, battery on, electric hydraulic pumps on, landing gear lever down, ship's library checked. IRS mode selectors, nav, gear pins. We have 1 to 3 removed. Light test. I did of course not do that, as in most of my videos. It's funny how I keep forget to do that in my flight sim videos, but then in real life I'm always doing that. But instead have another item that I tend to forget, that I'm actively trying to watch out for, which then actually is something that in Flight Simulator I always do. Right, flight test checked, and oxygen tested 100%, yaw damper on, nav transfer and display switches, normal and auto. Fuel, we need 47, we have 47 with 4 pumps on. Cabin utility IFE on, emergency exit lights armed, fasten belts on, window heat on, air compress, PAX auto, bleeds on, set, pressurization mode selector, auto, instruments, cross-checked, auto brakes, RTL, hydraulics, normal, speed brake, down attent, parking brake, set, step-down cutout switches, normal, wheel by fire warning, checked, radius radar transponder, set, standby, rudder and aileron trims, 3 and 0, briefing, discussed, PA, complete, FMC, CDU, set, N1 and IS box, we're using automatic, reduced 22k, speeds 252631, set, step trim, 7 units, set, performance weight balance, sign send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flight windows and cockpit door, locked, doors closed, passengers seated before start checklist. Complete.
029 and Bravo 26, information Alpha, request clearance to Vienna Schweschaft, please. Ryanair 4029, hello, information Alpha, start of approved, cleared to Vienna via Kumik 5 Delta departure, left hand route, climb by altitude 5000 feet, squawk 1000. Ryanair 4029 for Alpha, cleared Vienna Kumik 5 Delta departure, climb.
Right, in the meantime, let's get our pushback tool ready so that hopefully we can go in a second.
Ryanair 4029, I read that correct.
Austrian 211 kilo, request startup.
Cockpit to ground. Go ahead, flight deck. We will be ready shortly.
11725 for Austrian 211 kilo.
F4055, contact tower 124-975.
124-975, F4055, thank you.
Request to pushback.
To stations, Zeroings 4 Tango Zulu, checks the behind the Air France 7900, to holding point telemetry to right via Alpha and Alpha 3.
Alpha and Alpha 3 for the 24 behind the Air France for units 4 Tango Zulu.
And station blocked out for push, take hold for again.
Austrian 211 kilo.
Austrian 211 kilo, service Emmanuel, pushback approved on blue line.
Pushback approved, blue line, Austrian 211 kilo. Okay, below the line, air compacts off, anti-collision light on, parking brake set, transponder alt off before start checks complete.
Cockpit to ground. Go ahead, flight deck. We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Dual bleed.
Understood. Release the parking brakes, please. Parking brake released. Pushing back.
Okay, off block time is 1-2, that's 7 minutes delay onto the runway change.
All ground ground equipment is clear, you can start the engines at your discretion.
And we're about to be beyond the red line. Start engine 2.
So 5 on Tango, hold short Alpha 4.
Hold short Alpha 4, listen to 5 on Tango.
Ring 4 Tango Zulu, contact tower 124-975.
124-975,
FN2, all pressure, and 1.
Ground, hello, Lufthansa 380 Alpha 4.
Lufthansa 380 question ground, hello, taxi gate Echo 31 via Alpha 4 and Alpha.
Taxiing Echo 31 via Alpha 4 Alpha, confirm traffic on the right is giving way.
Affirm.
Dankeschön, rolling.
The push is complete, please set the brakes.
Parking brakes set.
Understood. Okay, so the ground equipment is removed and the bin is out. Good engine starts from down here, and I see you on the right hand side with the bin.
Okay,
Thanks.
starting 1.
And you can disconnect and go to hand signals.
Thanks, have a good flight, and we'll see you later.
And 2, all pressure, and 1.
Lufthansa 380 change of plans, make it gate Echo 32.
Okay, Echo 32, auch kein Problem, Lufthansa 380.
Plus 5 on Tango, when clear of traffic contained.
So just one question there real quick. Fantastic FN, will I be getting the cockpit realism mod for the 737? I guess you mean that textures, and I actually no, because I don't think it looks realistic. I'm flying a lot of 737 of many different ages, and they just don't look that bad. So, that used. You know, we're not flying a museum, we're flying aircraft. My opinion on it. No, that's not, but even in the development of the 737, I've been a big fan of not putting too much wear and tear in the flight deck, because it's just not what aircraft look like.
The A380 in front of you, thereafter takes to
Flight controls, up, down, left, right, left, right. Before taxi checks, generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, propit on, NTIS off, air conditioning impacts, auto bleeds on, isolation valve, auto, flaps, that's 5 required, 5 selected, and green light, step trim, 7 units required set, start levers idly temp, flight controls checked, recall checked, 4 taxi checks complete. Austrian 211 kilo, request taxi.
Austrian 211 kilo, taxi to holding point, runway 32 right, via Mike Blue, Echo and Alpha.
Austrian 211 kilo, just confirm we've received clearance for runway 24.
Yes, but you need to cross first.
Ah, yeah, in real life they usually say taxi holding point 24 via blah blah and hold short 24 then. That's why I was just confused. So confirm we are going via the blue line, Bravo Alpha Alpha 3, hold short 32 right.
Please make it via Echo.
Via Echo. Okay, so straight, right, left, Echo. Wonder why they do that.
4068, do you know what standby means?
Right, so, config.
What do I have to explain?
That's a master caution again. Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, do you know what standby means? It means that I will call you, you are not supposed to call me back every 5 minutes to get clearance.
Okay, I stand by. Thank you.
Wow, these guys are
but your lucky day,
nice today.
Approved, face southeast.
Yes, I can prove.
Confirm face southeast, please.
So where's that Eurowings going there?
On the 5-1 Tango, contact tower 124-975.
124-975, ciao.
Didn't they? They said there are too many departures on 3-2. Now I see 4 aircraft going to runway 24.
Austrian 211 kilo, sorry for that.
Planning doesn't. Austrian 211 kilo hold position. What are they doing now?
055 for crossing, contact tower 124-975.
Okay. Brake set. They seem to be a little bit messed over right now. Probably that Eurowings that just taxied into Echo.
Confirm hold
That's now blocking the way for everyone.
For crossing clearance, contact tower.
So as we're waiting, do I know if the 737-800 is expected to release on August 1st? First of all, I don't think it's ever been announced for August 1st, but only for August. But I don't quite know about any release schedule, so can't give you a definite answer on that, sorry. Where is the Boeing going now?
Eurowings 3 Charlie Bravo, ground hello, pushback approved on blue line.
Pushback approved on blue line, Eurowings 3 Charlie Bravo.
Austrian 211 Kilo request.
Go.
Just wondering, we earlier on requested 3 to right for our departure, but were denied because of too much departures from 3 to right. Now see everybody holding short of 2-4. Is there any chance we can get reclearance for 3 to right and get out a bit faster?
211 Kilo, I will have to coordinate.
Thanks. In real life, the 1-4 left, 3 to right is the main departure runway, and 2-4 is really only pilots required. That's why I'm a little eager on getting 3 to right, because if you put in 2-4, you can
ready for reclearance.
Austrian 211 Kilo ready.
Austrian 211 Kilo cleared Salzburg, Comic 9 Bravo, rest remain.
Comic 9 Bravo, rest unchanged. Any chance Comic 1 Charlie? Come on, guys.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Comic 1 Charlie, Austrian 211 Kilo. Bravo for heavy aircraft only.
Ground hello, citation Charlie, Lima call.
So, 3 to right, Comic 1 Charlie, execute 5,000 feet. In, execute.
Calling Takeoff again.
Speed's deleted, so 3 to right, over here, Alpha 2, dry, and we had 280 at 8.
Ground ein wunderschön, Ryanair 4029, dann Bravo 266.
Ryanair 4029, ground hello, pushback approved.
Pushback approved, Ryanair 4029.
Austin 211 Kilo, taxi, rolling point, runway 3 to right, via Echo, hold short runway 24.
Austrian 211 Kilo, holding point 3 to right via Echo, hold shot 24. Okay, that's better. We don't have to rebrief since we have already briefed that departure earlier on. So, only thing we need to set here is the heading.
Hold short of Alpha 3.
316-061-106, that's all unchanged, perfect.
Ground hallo, normal Lufthansa 3 Super Echo 32, request pushback.
Was 30 Simba.
So we're going into Echo, that's the parallel one, and then we'll probably have to go by the Air France 787 over there. Actually, it's interesting that they clear us all the way via Echo to hold short runway 24, because that means we'll have to backtrack the runway. I'll show you that here.
Launch Fila 190.
The clearing is via Echo, so we have to go short here, but then we'll have to backtrack the runway over here into Alpha. That does not seem technically smart to do. So Echo Alpha 3 Alpha would be what I would expect normally. But I'm sure they'll have a plan, so let's go ahead and do what they ask us to do. Now the Air France is also rolling, let's see where he's going.
Multiple stations at once. I got Yoke 3 Charlie Bravo, taxi Mike Blue, hold shot Bravo.
Taxi Mike Blue, hold shot Bravo. There's a little problem on Mike Blue. There's a 747 on
Yoke 3 Charlie Bravo, roger, swing over Mike Orange and then taxi Mike Orange, hold shot Bravo.
Swing over Mike Orange, hold shot Bravo.
Charlie Lima Golf 5, taxi to the General Aviation apron via Echo Alpha Delta Tango and Kilo 2.
Hello, Echo Alpha Delta Tango Kilo 2 for Lima Golf 5.
Lufthansa 2 Golf Yankee, taxi gate Charlie 5 via Alpha 3 Echo and Bravo. Austrian 211 Kilo, contact tower 124 975.
124 975, Austrian 211 Kilo, drop. So let's see how they're going to do that now with the backtrack. I see us standing there for quite a while already. Cologne tower low, Austrian 211 Kilo, and Echo, hold shot 24.
Correction, Austrian 211 Kilo, Cologne tower, hello.
I wonder why they didn't just give us Alpha 3 Alpha. That would have made crossing quite a bit easier.
Tower, this is Alpha 068 at from the Alpha 3.
Alpha 068, Cologne tower, hello. Milan 055, and 2 degrees, 8 knots, runway 24, clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff, Milan 055. France 068, cross runway 32 right.
Cross 32 right.
Very nice 787. I'd love to fly one. I really do. But who knows, maybe eventually, after the MAX, we might see a PMDG 787? Maybe? Hopefully? Wishfully?
Austrian 211 Kilo, cross runway 24.
Austrian 211 Kilo, cross 24, and confirm backtrack 24 into Alpha?
Austrian 211 Kilo, so yeah, sure.
Austrian 211 Kilo, roger, backtrack runway 24 into Alpha. Okay, clear left, clear right.
Thank you, Milan 055, contact us radar 135 and 135 goodbye. Milan 055, frequency 135, decimal 350. 135, negative, 135, decimal 350. 135,
approaching, 2-4.
Checked, and we are cleared to cross.
And 1068, line up runway 24 and wait.
On runway, 2-4.
Line up runway 24 and wait.
Line up 34 and wait.
Okay, before takeoff, check this to the line. Config. Thrustmaster caution. Again, the overwings. Boy, this is an annoying one. I need to push the developers a bit on that. So, config checked. Flaps 5. 5 green light. Step trim 7 units set. Takeoff briefing. It's going to be a left seat takeoff, runway 3 to right, flaps 5, and a DP2 back at 1500. Sit straight at 1.8 kVO right turn, radial 242 amount to Garminghausen. Climb 5000, contact departure when passing 2000, and the engine outs at 4 miles, right to depart, hold 360 left turns 4000. Any questions? Okay, then cabin. Secure before takeoff checks complete to the line. Austrian 21 kilo, ready for departure, able Alpha 2.
Alpha 2, 11 kilo, Russia, taxi by Alpha 2, and the typical brief I don't update before after.
Austrian 21 kilo via Alpha 2, runway 3 to right, clear for takeoff, cheers.
Ship to clear. Tower low, Lufthansa 380,
Okay, Alpha 2 is over here.
Lufthansa 380, Camera Tower, hello again, cross runway 24, taxi, holding 1 runway 3 to right via Alpha. Crossing 24, taxiing holding point, runway 3 to right via Alpha, Lufthansa 380.
Oops, my taxiing isn't the best either, it seems. Alright, before takeoff checks below the line. MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights on, landing lights on, before takeoff checklist complete. Now here's something interesting on this intersection. I know that most flight simmers are just following the yellow line when lining up on a runway, but that is actually incorrect. Lining up on a runway, you have to take the greatest runway that you can. So if you follow the yellow line, you'll be lined up about 100 meters further down than the figures from your performance tool assume. So what you'll actually have to do over here, the yellow line is only for vacating runways.
3, 2,
so you'll go to the right over here, and you'll line the airplane up like this. Now see where the yellow line intersects the runway over there versus where we are lining up over here.
Runway 3, 2, right.
So, timing.
And we will be ready when reaching.
Stabilized. Takeoff thrust. Now watch our airspeed as we are passing the point where we would have been lined up if we followed the yellow line. 60 knots. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. Checked.
Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up.
Okay,
don't know why, but don't have.
Throttle, Ryanair 409 now.
Monte.
For 029 now, Cockpit Tower, evening, cross runway 3 to right. Cross runway 3 to right, Ryanair 4029.
Back up. Flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. Flaps up, speed check, flaps up.
In the approach is Air France 06 with you, 575.
06 Black Radar identified, side level 140.
140.
Bravo, Austrian 21 kilo, 3,400, climb at 5,000, Comic 1 Charlie.
Austrian 211 kilo, Black Radar Halo identified, side level 14, side level 130.
Flat level 130, Austrian 21 kilo. Set, 130 checked. Flaps up, no lights. Set standard. Select VNAV. Checklist. Air condition and pressurization 2.2. Climbing. Set. Altimeter. There on standard twice. We can make that 3 times. Passing 5-2, climb 130. After takeoff checklist complete, and we can release the cabin crew. Alright, so we've made it out of Cologne, finally. Man, I really have to say, after doing 600 testing for a while now, the 700 all of a sudden looked like a very long airplane. Blocked. Altimeters. Passing 100, climbing 130, 10 checks. Fuel balanced, 4 pumps on, the lights are off, APU off. Air condition and pressurization 4.2, climbing and set, fasten belts, auto. Recall checked, 1 to 1.5, monitoring, and that's the 10 checks complete. Vertical speed. Right, first of all, guys, in the comments there, thank you very much for the compliments. Really appreciate to hear that you like the channel. And Neil MUK, whatever is the Austrian 2, 11 kilo, climb flight level 200. Set, 200 checked. VNAV, and full climb thrust.
Austin 200 kilo, contact Langenradar on 123, decimal 275, please down.
123, decimal 275, Austrian 200 kilo, cheers. Langenradar, schönen guten Abend, Austrian 200 kilo, passing level 137, climbing 200, in Podip.
Austin 211 kilo Langenradar identified, climb flight level 350.
Austrian 211 kilo, climb flight level 350. Set 350 checked, and that is set once, twice, and 3 times, and we are monitoring 1 to 1.5. Philip, why am I using both the elapsed time and the chrono? The reason is the elapsed time only gives me the time in minutes, while the chrono is giving me the time in seconds. So I'm using the elapsed time to time our total flight time, and the chrono to time the time that the engines are running on full takeoff thrust. Because in case of an engine failure, I just like to have those seconds available and not rely on the overall minutes to time where I have to reduce thrust to max continuous.
LL212, contact unit radar 134.
So, Neil MUK, what app is the runway advisory awareness system? That's FS2 crew.
Again, 134.
Jeb Z, where can you find ground speed?
134.
The ground speed is on the top left corner of the navigation display.
Thank you, bye bye, last one.
F1055, contact Munich radar 134, decimal 150, bye bye.
And did I put my computer specs somewhere in the channel? Yes, in the description of the stream and of pretty much every video. It's right in the bottom of the video description. And Matt, in real life, do we have a software that tracks our aircraft position on the charts like Navigraph can do? If it's not in my airline, does something like that exist at all? Yes, something like this exists at all. But in my airline we only have it for en route charts and not for terminal charts.
Passing level 107, coming 140, Mount Cola.
When a 409 Langrade identified, climb flight level 190.
Climbing level 190, Ryanair 409.
Sky is a confirm, still ready for descent. Connie 807, you still have about more than 80 track miles to stand by. Roger.
And Nikemo is asking, what is the biggest difference when transferring from a 737-700 to an 800? That gotta be the tail clearance. So tail strike is the real threat in the 800, and the elevator deadband on rotation. So in the 800, when your nose is coming up and you pass about 7.5 degrees of pitch, then you need to add quite a bit more elevator in order to get the nose going further upwards. And at about 10 degrees, you then need to go back to the original elevator position to keep your nose rotating at a constant angle. And that is because, due to the length of the fuselage of the 737-800, the elevator is entering the turbulences from your wing, and therefore losing effectiveness.
Langeweile Daisy 618 from Delta Flight level 38, sir. This is 618 from Delta Langrade identified.
And Ryanair 4029, what was that flight level again?
Then, Throttle, anybody having the PMDG going to full throttle on final, auto throttle disengaged and autopilot off? No, never seen that, and there is actually no protection in the 737 that would automatically go to full thrust, so don't know what it is for you, but there gotta be something happening, but I can't quite tell you what, sorry. And Fantastics FN, do you have any information or updates about PMDG's development on the 747 and 777? I'm afraid nothing that's not publicly available. Budwin, you did not arm Elnaf and VNAF on takeoff. Is there a reason for that? Elnaf? I forgot about it. VNAF? We don't use VNAF in my airline for takeoffs, because that means the moment VNAF engages, you lose wind shear protection, and if the flight director stays in toga mode, then you still have then you still have flight director guidance available in case you need to do a wind shear escape maneuver. And my airline did do a couple trials on VNAF takeoffs, but we never found any. We just never found any advantage in it over the manual backup method that would justify the change in SOP. We actually only saw the disadvantage in the VNAF guidance not being available anymore.
Contact radar 134.150.
Andrew did some real flying in a Cessna 206 today. Haven't flown in a while, so my radio work was pretty rusty. Well, honestly, get a VATSIM account. Fly a bit on VATSIM. You are going to be surprised how well that helps getting your or keeping your radio skills up. Another question, is the weather radar still work in progress? Yes, it is. Asobo has not yet made weather data available for developers, so we're still not able to access it to implement a weather radar. When Asobo finally makes it available, PMDG will also work on implementing a weather radar. But until then, I'm afraid we'll just have to wait for Asobo to do it. By the way, small thing while I see it, the current version of the PMDG has a bug here. that keeps the light of the heading select button illuminated while heading select is actually not active anymore, but while we're in VNAV. So ignore that light. However, funny as it is, I did recently fly an airplane where that light was just stuck and always illuminated. So you can say it's not a bug, it's a feature, even though I am pretty sure it is not an intended feature, to put it that way.
Climbing level 260, Ryanair 4029.
And Fantastics FN, will PMDG still make the max? Yes, absolutely. They have not said anything different, so I'm very sure that they are going to make the max.
140 left 100.
Yeah, 261. Steering 3, target Bravo lang radar.
And Tesoro Sound Studio, wind shear avoidance and VNAV would make a great little tutorial. I fully agree. It's just that MSFS itself does currently not feature wind shear, so I'm still trying to figure out a way to actually induce a wind shear in the simulator to actually make that tutorial video. So if you have any suggestions on how I can do that, then let me know, and then I can finally start working on that video. Vertical speed, 1 to go. Austrian 211 kilo, any chance direct Basel?
Austrian 211 kilo, proceed direct Basel.
Proceed direct Basel, Austrian 211 kilo. Okay, execute, LNAV available, LNAV.
Lima, contact lang, radar 120, estimate vorbei.
Always good to take some shortcuts. Wonder why I didn't give me that shortcut from the beginning on, but happens.
Van der 24 Jewel, climb flight level 350. Final 055 and ready descend to reach level 250 at Delta Kilo Bravo.
Okay, and here we are in cruise. So, VNAV.
Jury 2072, contact line radar 135.35.
Conset.
Circling radar 135.35, Jury 2072.
And that's it. So, let's have a quick look into the flight plan. At the top of time, we're supposed to have 15 minutes on the clock, and we do. And 3,200 kilos, we have 3,220. Very good. Fuel use should be 1,400. 1,400. Spot on, perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for.
Connie 807, descend to reach level 110 at Golco. Golco 110, Connie 807. Looking the forum with it, when ready, descend to reach level 110 at Golco.
When ready, descend to reach level 110. Golco, look at the forum.
Until the 110 lang radar identified, climb flight level 230.
Langen Radar, Gute Lufthansa, Papa Zulu, flight level 220, over, red fleet.
Lufthansa, Papa lang radar identified, get Bravo to Bravo Reise, when ready, descend 2 star, flight level 110.
So, Fantastics FM. Great lot of new low-cost carriers in Canada that he's personally flown with operating the MAX. Have I considered flying Canada on the sim? Actually, yes. However, my main flying in Canada in the simulator is actually limited to the Cross the Pond event at the moment because of the time where events in Canada are usually happening. So, basically speaking, when there is air traffic control on a VATSIM in Canada, then usually that is about after midnight my time, so that's not exactly the best time to fly there. Actually, when I recorded my channel's most successful video, the Boston to JFK video, that was when I came back home from work at 3 in the morning, and for some reason I really wasn't tired, so I had a look at what was online on VATSIM, and I saw full air traffic control coverage between Boston and New York JFK, so that's when I spontaneously decided, alright, I want to do that. I want to do a flight there. But that was 3 AM my time, and the flight finished at like 4 AM or something like that. So I'm not too keen to do that every day. I'm really not.
Right at 4029er, scarf level 310.
Level 310, Ryanair 4029er.
Bell 055, contact Mill Radar 134, decimal 150, bye-bye.
Alright then, I did promise you guys a few more details about Salzburg Airport and what makes it so special from a pilot's point of view before we actually get there. So, let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, runway 15 has a maximum of 10 knots westerly crosswind component for takeoffs due to turbulence because of the proximity of terrain. Then, going on there are two special things. The first of all is the high missed approach climb gradient, resulting in performance penalties when using flaps 40 on the landing. And the second is, due to the close proximity of the terrain, we have some very, very low altitude turns in case of an engine failure. So, looking into the approach itself then, there are several minimas published on based on the missed approach climb gradients and bank angles, which are specified for straight and turn phases of the climb. The more limiting straight climb gradients should be used for all landing calculations, of course, and the landing minima for us on the 737 applies with a maximum speed of 165 knots. And most definitely when you are approaching with flaps 40, to ensure the go-around performance requirements for runway 15, you have to fly at least VREF, or not at least, but you have to fly exactly VREF 40 plus 15 knots on a normal approach. So, for an autoland actually, that means that you'll have to maintain VREF 40 plus 15 all the way to touchdown, resulting in some interesting deck angles, because usually flaps 40 already gives you exactly 0 degrees of pitch on the final approach. So when you are now coming in at a faster speed, that means that you are in danger of doing a nose wheel landing, and you better monitor that autopilot very closely if you are doing an auto land to make sure that it's actually flaring enough that you're not landing on the nose wheel. And if you're doing a manual landing, then you can start reducing your speeds to VREF plus the wind additive only once landing is actually assured. So that makes the ILS 15 rather special in Salzburg. Then, also interesting is the missed approach. If you are flying a missed approach with all engines working, then you have to maintain the flap 15 maneuvering speed all the way until you have turned away from the terrain and are on the outbound sector. But if you're flying a missed approach with an engine inoperative, that's where it gets really interesting. The missed approach has to be flown at the white box speed. So that is VREF plus 20. You have to verify you are using maximum go-around thrust, so make sure to press the toga button twice. And then, the interesting thing is, you select flap 15, And the left turn.
11 kilo, contact wind radar 132.550.
132.550, Austrian 21 kilo, bye bye. I'll quickly do the radio, then I'm going to complete that explanation. Sorry guys. Flight level 350, overhead Basu.
Austrian 2 to 1 kilo, wedge radar is identified.
An Austrian 211 kilo, any chance to coordinate a direct OSTES?
Austrian 211 kilo can proceed direct Usemi and expect further direct in about 10 minutes to white mention departure.
Direct Usemi, Austrian 211 kilo. Okay, Usemi. Well, that's something for a start. Alright, so, going on with the explanation. The initial left turn on the go-around has to be flown in heading select with a 25-degree bank angle and flap 15. And you must not accelerate until the turn to Sierra India NDB is complete, and only when outbound... when inbound to Sierra India and above 2,500 feet QNH, you can buck up and retract the flaps. And it is very important that 25 degrees bank angle must be flown in both the all-engine and the single-engine case, and strict adherence to the flight pattern must be maintained so as not to degrade the obstacle clearance margins. The gear warning horn may actually sound if leveling off at 6,000 feet with the flaps at 15, and that has to be ignored until established inbound to Sierra India. So that is really what makes the ILS approach to runway 15 in Salzburg so special.
Lufthansa 251, contact Lang Radar 123.275.
Contact Lang 123.275, Lufthansa 251, bye bye.
Alright, so, hope you found this one interesting, and I hope that I did not totally confuse you guys. Looking at some of the comments over here, so, Fantastic FM, is Salzburg the second highest airport to land in Austria? I would probably say so. But for landing, actually the RNAV visual approach for runway 33 is more interesting than the straight-in ILS. Because for the straight-in ILS, usually you can come in at flap 30 and just do a manual landing, then you don't have all of those penalties that we just talked about. But the takeoff on 1.5 is very interesting with the engine outset as well, but we'll talk about that when we're on the ground, because I do expect the departure from runway 15 today, so we'll have to brief that anyway. LAP, what are the routes for today? Well, right now we're going from Cologne to Salzburg, and then it will be from Salzburg, Lima Oscar Whiskey Sierra, to Milano Linate, Lima India Mike, India. And I expect the departure towards Linate in maybe an hour or something, but not 100% sure about that. Just when all of you guys are spawning at Salzburg now, please leave at least one parking spot free for me, guys, okay? And Andrew, can I speak other languages than German and English? Un peu, un peu. No, my French really is bad, so German and English are my primary languages. And Jab Z, maybe a weird question. Do you still really like to fly the simulator while this is your job in real life, or do you only sim for videos or live streams? No, I actually still like to fly the simulator. When I started flying in real life, I thought about, well, probably this is it about my flight simulator hobby, but no, it stayed. I believe when you did something like this for 6 or 7 years before starting to fly in real life, then eventually it is just going to stick. And White, that's a good comment there. I quote, "You are not a pilot, mate. Uploading every day? Presuming most airlines offer a 5 days on, 3 days off roster, you have uploaded one hell of a lot of videos." Quote end. You're right. And to be totally honest, the way I'm doing it most of the time is that I'm using my off days to pre-record a couple of videos, which I then upload to YouTube, and then sort of activate for you guys or publish during my working days. And often there are days among where I have like 5-6 hours at home before I go to work or after I came back from work, so then I can also record some tutorials or so. But yeah, I am investing quite a bit more time into the channel than I initially thought I would do. But hey, it's fun, so why shouldn't I? And Bootwin, flap 30, you use most in landings. When do you use 40 or lesser? Okay, so lesser than 30 is only with an engine failure. And flaps 40 is basically when performance demands it. Okay, by the way, I do think I covered that in a bit more detail in the approach briefing video, but can't tell you where exactly right now. Don't know that by heart right now, sorry. It's been a while since I filmed those videos, so I'm not 100% sure what exactly was contained in which part of the videos. Anyway, let's start setting up our approach here, because if we do get an approach to cut this corner later on, then I am kind of expecting that we will be high on profile, so let's get the approach briefing out of the way, shall we?
Proceed direct Ost-Test, when ready, descend flight level 200.
Austrian 211 kilo, direct Ost-Test, when ready, descent level 200. Yeah, and that's the direct, so Ost-Test, execute, LNAV available, LNAV, and when ready, descent flight level 200.
Right, heading 340, you can expect the shortcut soon.
Set, 200 checked. Alright, and here we are, almost ready for descent. That's what I meant. Anyway. Not playing around, let's start doing something here. Send page is ready, forecast page. Let's get ourselves an ATIS. So, Salzburg information Romeo at time 1750, so that's 10 minutes old. Runway in use. Actually missing from the ATIS. Transition level 110, wind 350 at 5, visibility more than 10. Clouds few 6000, scattered 8000, temperature 23, QNH 1021. Becoming 150 at 5. On initial contact advice you have Romeo, but the Romeo is missing. I'll ask ATC. Austrian 211 kilo, request.
Austrian 211 kilo, good.
Austrian 211 kilo, the arrival ATIS is actually missing the runway. Can you call your colleagues in Salzburg and ask which runway and which approach we can expect?
Austrian 211 kilo, will call you back.
Thanks. I'll keep planning for runway 11, but if we get the ANAF circling, that would of course be cool as well. And of course I meant runway 15, not runway 11. Sorry for that. Okay, so 153, 19.9.
Rainer 1539er, München, radio check.
Alright, now you should be able to hear me again. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened to my audio. But you should be able to hear me again now. Austrian 2 kilo, radio check. So, can you guys hear me again? Alright, good to hear. I'm really sorry, I don't know what caused that. So I apologize to everybody who has to go to the doctor now. And especially to everybody who lost their medical right now. But I'm not going to pay for that medical, okay? Sorry for that, guys. I'll see if I can find a replacement mic, because
I think you and the Austrian could have sent it separately.
Don't know.
Okay.
This headset is rather new, but something broke it. Austrian 2 kilo, read you 5 again now.
Austrian 2 kilo, thank you. The wind in Salzburg is 330 degrees, 5 knots. If you can accept tailwind, you can expect 1.5. Otherwise, runway 33 will be in your free.
Austrian 2 kilo, roger. Actually, let's go for the RMP visual approach, and can you coordinate that with the guys in Salzburg? We can accept runway 15, but if possible, we request the RMP visual.
Austrian 2 kilo, roger.
Okay, that's actually great. If we can do the RMP. So, RMP visual 33 from Bandit 1 Romeo, and then the Whiskey 381. Sorry, 831. That is going to make things quite a bit more fun.
235 to 8 München, servus identified. From Jet 2 for Bravo, contact Lang Radar 123, decimal 2.
So let's do it that way. Then we have 835. Thereafter 836.
Radar 1539, contact München Radar 133, decimal 575.
And then we'll take 837.
133, 575, 135.
Okay. Well, that of course makes it quite a bit more fun now. So let's see, the minimum is 3,980. That's going to be quite a bit of strolling right now.
Austrian 2 kilo, descent flight level 120.
Austrian 2 kilo, descent flight level 120.
Evelyn 7 Alpha Foxtrot München.
So, we really need to find a solution to set that minimum quicker, but for now, unfortunately, the developers are setting different priorities, something they'll have to work out. Because this is annoying. So, 3,980. Here it is. And Wyatt, I don't know when you can expect the next update from Robert Frondasso, but I hope soon. And Ale, no, setting the minima in the real airplane is a lot easier. A lot. But it involves turning the knob at different distances from the neutral position, so that's something that's not too easy to simulate, unfortunately. But it's something that the developers will have to think about. Okay, so let's see then. Cloud ceiling is required, and we need at least 2,600 foot ceiling and 5,000 meters visibility. So our ATIS is giving us
let's
see real quick, where is it? I believe that's where it broke up earlier, so if the thing is going havoc again, just let me know. Okay, we currently have few at 6,000, okay, so perfect weather for the circling. So let's actually do something useful now, because we are getting rather low. So, batted 1 Romeo arrival is batted at 4,000 feet, and then from there we will be proceeding to Sierra Bravo Golf, and from Sierra Bravo Golf we'll join the RNAV visual approach via Whiskey Sierra 831. That is 831 above 5,000 to 833 above 5,000, 834 that is at 5,000, and that's our final approach fix, and then 835 at a maximum of 185 knots. So what we'll do in here is 185 knots and the circling minimum of 3980 in here. And then the way we're going to fly this is at 835 we disconnect everything. We have the waypoints 836 and 837 in our fix page, so then we can just follow that visually with the automatics disconnected. So that's going to make things quite a bit easier for us. Missed approach then at 835. If we do not see the runway, we are going to go around with the right and turn to Whiskey Sierra 831, climb to 6,000 and hold. So we'll be at 5,000 here, so it's just a very small climb of 1,000 feet for the missed approach, so we'll be very careful when we actually have to take care of that.
1021 at 2,000 feet per minute or greater.
Austrian 211 kilo, descent 9,000 feet, QNH 1021, 2,000 feet a minute or greater. Set, 1021 checked, vertical speed.
Wings 3 Charlie Bravo, proceed direct exit.
We'll take it as it is. Okay, set altimeters 1021, passing 20,300 to saying 9,000. And we have no flags, stand altimeters are set.
Evelyn 7 Alpha Foxtrot, contact Lang Radar 123.27.
Okay, so we are burning 200 kilos fuel, giving a landing weight of 54.5. We'll be using flap 30 as that makes the aircraft a little easier to control. Descent path unachievable, I totally disagree with you. But we can go level change, speed up a little bit. 300 knots.
211 kilo, contact Green Radar 126.275. Tschüss.
126.275, Austrian 211 kilo, tschüss. And seatbelts on. Green Radar low, Austrian 211 kilo, inbound VACC, descending 9,000 feet on 1021, rate of descent 2,000 or greater.
Scott, Lufthansa 211 kilo, Wien radar contact. Wind in Salzburg currently 330 degrees, 5 knots, all approaches are available, advise your request.
Austrian 211 kilo, request RNAV visual runway 33.
Austrian 211 kilo, Roger, expect to the Whiskey Sierra 833, descend 6,000 feet, QNH 1021.
Correct, Whiskey Sierra 833, descend 6,000 feet, 1021, Austrian 211 kilo. Set.
Kilo, rate is up to you.
Rate is up to us, Austrian 211 kilo. Okay, speed brake is in. And we go direct to 833. Execute. LNAV available, LNAV, and VNAV.
8401, contact hardware 127.450.
Okay, that's the target on the TCAS over there. But we have Class Echo airspace from level 120 onwards, so might be some VFR traffic. Okay, to finish off the briefing, we are going to vacate the runway. Runway 33 to the left-hand side at Charlie. Giving us around about 1,600 meters, so flaps 30, auto brakes 3. And if we can't make Charlie, we'll roll to the end and then by Bravo to the apron. Any questions? Okay. So, descent checklist. Pressurization, land out 1400, NEIs off, approach refuel, discussed, IS and outbox are checked and set, descent checklist complete. By the way, for those of you who saw my video on the hot and high approaches, Salzburg is well, 20 and a bit degrees at 1,400 feet, but if we look over here, we are currently flying 6 degrees warmer than ICAO standard, so that's not too significant. But you can see the same effects that we had in the large scale at Jackson Hole also in a small scale here at Salzburg already. So, passing level 120, let's actually start slowing down 220 knots because we're in Class Echo airspace. Might need a little bit of speed brake to help the plane getting down here. Austrian 211 kilo, descent 5,000 feet. QNH 1021, Austrian 211 kilo. Okay, set. 5,000 is checked. And Ale, in a normal scenario, are cleared on the star by approach or center. That really depends on the respective airport, so it's different everywhere. And Kimber, do I have a checklist available for the PMDG 737? Well, I'm using my real airlines checklists, but I'm not allowed to share them for copyright reasons, so sorry for that. And Alphan, what if we cheat by using radio altimeter? Well, the problem is, since the terrain in front of the runway is not necessarily at the runway operations, at the runway elevation, you can't just use the radio altimeter instead of the barometric. Fantastics FN, do you fly the MAX, and if so, were you a bit cautious when the MAX came back into service? I am absolutely convinced that the MAX is the safest airplane in the world right now, so I'm not worried about it at all. So, altimeters, passing 10,000, descending 5,000, 10 checks. Fuel balanced, 4 pumps.
Aber in 5,000 feet by Whiskey Sierra 833, clears RMP, visual Victor, runway 33, report established.
Austrian 211 kilo, via Whiskey Sierra 833, cleared RMP visual, runway 33, Wilco. Okay, so fuel balanced, 4 pumps, lights on, angle of bank, 25, air cannon press, 2.8, descending set, fast melts on, recall checked, 21.5 is deselected. Cabin crew, 10 minutes to landing. That's the 10 checks complete. Next up, approach checklist and VNAV. Speed brake is in. So, frisk frequencies. We have the ADF on 382. And yeah, we can deselect the ILS, that's just going to clutter the displays. So Salzburg VOR active and identified. Rings. We don't have any rings for this approach, and addons, Sierra Bravo Golf, and courses can be disregarded. So, approach checklist. Ultimate instruments, trust checked, approach aids, check and set, approach checklist complete.
When 435, clear of traffic, resume on navigation direct to Riefen.
On navigation to Riefen, what is that?
Ryanair 9 Victor Lima, direct to Riefen. Direct to Riefen, Ryanair 9 Victor Lima. Turkish 1 Delta Bravo, contact Wien 134, decimal 675. Güle.
134-675, thank you. Turkish 1 Delta Bravo.
Wien Radar Christi, Raum, Boston 4 Whiskey, flight level 163, climbing to 40, quadruped.
Scott Boston 4 Whiskey, radar contact, climb to level 340, direct to, continue on, as filed for the time, expect direct in about 2 minutes.
Your rotor, continuing as filed, and landing 340, Boston 4 Whiskey.
When 435, what Mach number are you planning at flight level 340?
Austin 5, Austin 4, bitte.
So, Strat 4D, very good question there. Do real 737 pilots use actual VORs and NDBs for navigation, not on the approach? To be honest, not really. At least where I fly in Europe, it's all ANA anyway, so en route you would not be using VORs or NDBs. 1 to go. Right, our airport is located back over here.
180 transponder.
Also 435, Roger, whenever convenient, switch to Mach point 80 and continue Mach point 80.
We'll keep the flaps up for a moment, because I just see that over here the FMC overrode my speed entry.
What Mach number are you planning at
185 knots over here. Thank you. Yeah, so now it wants to be a bit faster than we actually are.
Mach decimal 76.
But come on, you don't need to add thrust. Just fly the clean speed. That's all we need now.
Traffic behind, same destination, same routing and same request level. Roger, Mach decimal 79er and
so flap 1, speed checked.
Speed Mach decimal 79er. Ryanair 9er Victor Lima, affirm whenever convenient, continue on Mach point 79er. For the time maintain speed 290 knots, whenever convenient switch to Mach point 79er.
And flap 5.
Roger,
speed checked.
For now 290 knots and for convenience Mach decimal 79er. Right,
we are approaching descent. 4,000 feet set. Bean of path, speed and event.
Possible 127 Mike, Roger, descent initially 550 into military area.
And space 1250 average 47 Mike.
Austrian 607, Dankeschön, taxi holding point runway 33 via Lima QNH Salzburg 102 Bonn.
Okay, and gear down flap 15. One to go.
Condor 7 Tango Whiskey, what Mach number are you planning on flight route 340?
So, set Mr. Approach altitude 6,000.
Condor 7 Tango Whiskey, we are planning for Mach decimal 75.
Condor 7 Tango Whiskey, Roger, that's not going to work out. Able Mach point 79 en cruise.
Heading select.
Point 80 if you want.
Roger, Condor 7 Tango Whiskey, that's absolutely perfect. Continue Mach point 8013, flight route 340.
Roger, point 80 for
Marine radar KLM 235 heavy.
And flaps 30.
Inbound beta weapon.
Landing checklist. Start switches. Continuous, recall, checked, speed brake. I'm green light, landing gear down 3 green, auto brake 3 set. And flaps 30, green light, holding at lights. Okay, continue. Autopilot off, recycle flight directors.
And the Romeo is correct.
Got information on board space destination, ground to Alpha, climbing 58,000 feet, walk 465 for it, to be a Piper Victor.
755 Victor.
And there is our airfield.
Startup approach, to be a Piper Victor.
Austrian 211 kilo established.
Roger.
Okay, let's not descend too quickly then.
Austrian 4 Whiskey, direct to 7.
There's our runway, in case you can't see it.
Austrian 211 kilo. Who is the wind? Da is the wind. Wind 330 degrees 5 knots. Runway 33.
Cautious terrain.
Runway 33, clear land, Austrian 211 kilo.
Cautious terrain.
Yeah, the terrain is noted. The PMDG is not doing a very good job with that at the moment, so terrain inhibit.
Runway 33 behind, bridge behind, and weight behind.
Line up and wait behind.
So, 3 miles to the runway. So, set runway heading 333. Checked. Have about 3 miles to fly, so we're looking good in terms of the altitude. There is our runway.
Level system for 1733, flight level 360.
The 1733, Wien radar command, radar contact. Expect flight level 140 at Red Bull and report ready for descent. Squawk 1000.
Squawk 1000, the 140 Red Bull level 8.
And we are back on the poppies. 500 continue. Stable gate, by the way, for circling approach, 300 feet. So by 300 we have to have finished our maneuvering. Which is basically now. And here we are. We'll ignore the poppy on short final, it's not reliable in Flight Simulator.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Speed break up, thrust burst normal. And we have 100 knots. 80 knots past, idle reverse, and we'll have to roll to the end.
1,200 meters remaining.
Manual brakes.
Would you like to set
900 meters remaining.
340 is fine, you are in trail with the friends bound to Palma de Mallorca.
600 meters remaining.
Winter deepening. Orange for Papa Victor, Richard, flight of 360 inbound launch.
Orange 4 Papa Victor, good up on radar contact. Full speed direct to Lalin.
Direct Lalin, good up.
Austrian 211 kilo, continue on Lima.
On Lima, Austrian 211 kilo.
1-5.
Okay. So, Lima's the parallel taxiway, that's what we'll take.
Austrian 607, means 330 degrees 5 knots, 133 clear to takeoff.
3 clear takeoff, Austrian 607.
Austrian 211 kilo, Lima exit 3, Whiskey 8.
Lima exit 3, Whiskey 8, Austrian 211 kilo, bis später.
Später. Control 7, Takeoff Whiskey, ich wollte euch eigentlich nahtlos an den Milanesen übergeben, der ist hoch, jetzt ist er wieder da. Okay, dann schicke ich euch wieder. Das war gut. Ja, passt.
Okay, exit 3 is the first one into the apron, and then Whiskey 8 is all the way at the end. Very good. So, time to clean up the aircraft.
Lufthansa 1733, good.
So, 1733, Roger, descend flight level 140, level at red.
Descending flight level 140, Red Bull level 8, Lufthansa 1733.
Protocol 127 Mike, direct to Ballard.
Ballard,
Austrian 607, radar contact passing 4,200 feet. Continue climb flight level 120.
Right, exit 3 is the first one. So we'll take this. And we have our 3 minutes, engine 2 shutdown. Start the APU. So Whiskey 8 all the way to the left, then park in front of the hangar.
Kan du 7 Tango Whiskey switching to Milano, China, not cruise?
China, und guten Flug, macht es gut. Protocol 127 Mike, Eastern Flight Level 180.
Eastern Flight Level 180, Protocol 1.
Generator, hello, Air France 165 with you, climbing in flight level 2 first takeoff.
Authorized 1675, data contact.
Wien Radar, Servus, Austrian 320, Whiskey on flight level 150, climbing flight level 190, inbound, clear D.
Scott Austrian 320, radar contact, clear the Maso 2 Whiskey arrival, climb flight level 230.
Cleared for Maso 2 Whiskey, arrival and climb level, flight level 230, Austrian 320.
Austrian 607, München 134, decimal 150, servus.
München 134, 150, Austrian 607.
Okay, Whiskey 7, then we go one further.
248, descending flight level 170.
Roger to Nana, clear the you know the drill, descent flight level 130, level Amadi, radar contact.
And Whiskey 8, that's it.
Amadi,
Yeah, that was a little fast, the turn. But well, we've got here.
675, goodbye.
Have a pushback truck already, that's very good.
Being radar on 134.675 for airport school, only 7 Mike, thanks, bye.
And here we are. So, 2 blue, 1 red, engine's dead. Shutdown checklist. Well, in a moment at least.
235, leaving my airspace, Unicom, goodbye.
So, here we are.
For KLM 235, heavy thanks for service, have a good night, bye bye.
Likewise, bye bye.
And that's 20%. So, electrical, APU, fasten belts, off, prop lead, auto, NEIs, off, voice recorder on, air compacts, auto, engine bleeds on, APU bleed, off, exterior lights, set, start switches, off, auto brake, off, speed brake down to 10, flaps up and light, parking brake set, start levers cut off, weather radar off, transponder 2000 standby, CB in, cockpit door unlocked, shutdown checks complete. Alright guys, welcome to Salzburg. Let's get the guys deboarding the airplane as soon as possible.
Austrian 435, contact Milano 127450, schönen Flug.
Milano 127450, Austrian 435, servus.
Austrian 320, climb flight level 290.
Not parked perfectly, but
climb flight level 290,
seeing that the marshal only appeared the last second. Oh, lovely. My simulator just crashed the desktop. Right, guys, give me a moment. I'll just have to restart my flight simulator, and then we'll be on our way towards Milano. Oh, lovely. I would not have expected anything different, to be honest. Microsoft Flight Simulator. Always good for a crash to desktop. Andrew, I had a marshaller, but he only appeared the last second. Give me that, okay? Give me that. And a Strat 4D, how many squawks do you usually have per flight on average in real life? That is something in the region of maybe 2 or 3. Depends a little bit. So, here we see our lovely simulator starting. Yeah, so the squawks, the world is basically structured into several different squawk regions. So, For this one, in Europe, basically Germany and the UK, and anything going northbound is one region. And then when you cross the Alps to the south into Italy, then you usually get a new squawk. France usually shares the squawk region with Germany as well, so crossing from France into Spain, you usually also get a new squawk. And of course, the other way around. So that's roundabout what you have to expect. And yeah, you're right. Just Microsoft Flight Simulator things. Well, actually, you're not right. FSX and P3D did the same. Equally shitty software. Well, sorry, you didn't. I've just worked on too much beta testing and helped company test to actually be dealing with that. So I've had my fair share of crash to desktops. Strat 4D, not squawk codes, but airplane squawks. So with airplane squawks, I guess you mean defects or the aircraft not behaving properly? Is that what you mean? Pilot boy, how come I got one window heat off when the switch was in auto? Probably a window overheated and the system failed? Just an idea though. Okay, Strat 4D airplane issues. Honestly, 0.01, something like that. So very, very rarely you only have system problems on the real airplane. Very, very, very rarely. And that is not to say that it happens almost never. And Boudwin, on a lot of flights, pilots use shortcuts between waypoints if approved by air traffic control. Is that right? Why are the low and high altitude airways formulated then, if a lot of planes use shortcuts anyway? First of all, yes, correct. You are basically only flying on shortcuts in real life. You hardly ever are flying actually on a published airway, unless you're in Spain. In Spain, you usually fly the airways, but that's something different. So, world map 737-700, and we go to Salzburg onto Whiskey 8. And yeah, you usually do fly on airways, but well, rather you file airways, but you can also file directs in certain circumstances. So that really depends on the country that you're actually flying in. But air traffic control will endeavor to give you shortcuts as much as possible. But they cannot always facilitate those shortcuts. And basically, if the aircraft are flying on airways, they will be separated from one another. While if you are flying directs, then air traffic control has to be a little bit more cautious with you. And Daniel, you can find screenshots of my settings in the community tab on my channel. Strat 4D. You're a Boeing engineer. That's very nice. Well, you guys did a good job on the airplane. But I would love to be able to put the back of my seat back a little bit more. You know, if you can forward that maybe. Fantastic FM. Take a guess, but you will understand that I'm not going to answer it. Wow, pilot boy, that's quite a story. Tried manual gear extension, got 3 greens, gear horn was blasting, though then on landing the beast collapsed. Well, that is unfortunate. I guess the landing gear was probably not in a locked position, even though it usually should be when you get a green light. And Ufran, does every aircraft have the RAS equipped? In my airline, yes. Okay, so let's see then. Next flight plan is almost finished. We will be Austrian 212 on this one. Then I'll be using that as call sign as well. And Dave, your explanation on the heaters with the thermostats is absolutely correct. What does happen from time to time, however, is that they just overheat and then you'll just have to turn them off yourself. I thought that was probably what was happening on the case earlier on. Bootwin, yes, that assumption is pretty much correct. Alright, so I'm going to cheat a little bit because we lost a little bit of time. So I'll just go ahead and not do the real-time loading of the airplane, but I'll just switch it to a manual loading straight away here, so that we get going a little bit earlier. Since I don't really want today to become too late, as I've flown late duties over the past couple of days and landed really late in the evening. And then in a couple of days' time I have early duty, so I'll just try to conserve a little bit of time here, and I'll have to make my sleeping rhythm come forward a bit. Now that won't prevent me from doing a couple more live streams over the next couple of days, probably, but nonetheless, you know, I'll try to get my sleeping rhythm forward a little bit. So this is all we need. I'm going to put the link to the operational flight plan into the comments below once again, so that you guys can have it as well. And here it is. Fantastic FN, I guess no turnaround. Well, sort of a turnaround. I'm just going to use the standard features here. And I'll take the airplane the way it loaded up, and then we will still fly on towards Linate. I promised you we are going to do this, so we are actually going to do this. A little bit nasty, of course, if the thing crashes to desktop, but, you know, life ain't perfect, but we gotta make the best of it. Just see it as a little bit of delay, being realistic, because you wouldn't do a flight to Italy without at least a 30-minute slot these days. So just take it as a feature, not as a bug. Right, we don't quite know yet which runway is going to be active because the controllers in Milano are only going to come online in like 15 minutes, so we'll just have to guess here. Somebody asked me earlier on how I know which transition I choose, so I'm going to show you now. I've selected the ILS, I've selected my star. Now I'll just go on the other pilot's FMC, go to the end of the lags page, and I see it's going to Charlie Oscar Delta NDB. So now I take the Charlie Oscar Delta transition, and that's basically it. That's how easy it is. Now, of course, there are some airports where there are some specialties around, no doubt about it. But overall, this makes it rather easy to decide. And Fantastic FN, what's my experience flying to Frankfurt Airport or to Frankfurt Airport? I've been there a couple of times and it is big but organized. It does happen from time to time that air traffic control is just taking you under complete control there. So that means that you will be going on a heading, on a vertical speed, and on an indicated airspeed. So basically, air traffic control is controlling the exact trajectory of your aircraft, and your only job really then is to make sure that the aircraft is doing exactly what ATC wants. And the rest of it you'll just have to get into. That's how it works. Oh, what's the landing elevation actually? 350, okay. Oops, I did that one before. Alright, so here we are, basically ready. Yeah, now comes the big question. Am I going to use the Navigraph charts again? Because I didn't have a crash to desktop either for the last while. And now that I've used the Navigraph charts, I've had another crash to desktop, so you know what, I'm not going to use those right now, sorry. But instead, I'm just going to use the Navigraph in Google Chrome. So, here you are, that's our plan. Probably the Rattenberg 3 Alpha departure, runway 33. Straight at Whiskey Sierra 610 above 4,900. Then a left turn 296, 11.1, waypoint 616, left 225, 4 miles, 617, above 6,500, and then same track 39.8 Emitter Rattenberg. Frequency 303. Alright, that is pretty much the quick version of the setup. So, all else that we need now is our performance. So we're at Salzburg on the runway 33. We'll take intersection echo figures because why not? 330 at 4. Temperature 22, 1021. Let's see, performance limited weight 56,800. Wow, that's not a lot. Okay. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Let's start doing the route check. Lima Oscar Whiskey Sierra, Lima India Mike Lima, Austrian 212. Routing is via Rattenberg, and I had to cheat a little bit here because it wouldn't take the airway from the Rattenberg NDB. So Rattenberg, direct Rattenberg, Yankee 703, Innsbruck, Mike 728 Naxav, Mike 984 Lusil, and then the Lusil arrival. Ground distance on this one is supposed to be 269 versus 260, 2.8 remaining, 1.6 required, plenty of extra fuel. Alright, time UTC 184810. We had that earlier, 1021, reading 1400, flight directors on minus master, standby set. Left C takeoff, 33, flaps 5, NADP 2, and no specials. EOSIT straight out to Sierra Bravo Golf, pick up the hold, and we could put that one into the FMC as well. Salzburg VOR, there it is. Alright, cool. Emergencies as briefed earlier on, and we don't have any special EOSIT or something today. And then for our routing, it's going to take us straight ahead to the first waypoint as briefed earlier on with a left turn out. We have an initial altitude of 10,000 feet and execute initial turn with max 165 knots. Okay. I'll put 10,001 until we have the clearance. Any further questions on that? No? Very good. Alright, then let's do the performance. Yeah, I've put a wrong passenger number in here. We were estimated to be quite a bit lighter weight. Let's take 106. 48.8. Yes, that's better. 53.2. So for the performance, that means 53. 200, 22k, 48 degrees. That's 22 at 48, 88.0, 87.3, close enough. Let's get our APU running. And flaps 5, trim 6.6 units, speeds 212326. That's it. And the trim is almost set. Okay. Then let's see what radar is responsible for us. Should be 26275, I think. At least that's the controller who has set up the Aegis. By the way, that controller is a real-life Austro Control ATC, so he's a real controller.
Lufthansa 380, Wien Radar 134350, wieder
13435.
Information Sierra. Wien Radar Low, Austrian 212, Salzburg Whiskey 8, Information Sierra, request startup.
Austrian 212, grüß Gott, again, startup approved, clear to Linate, Rattenberg 3 Alpha, climb initially 10,000, squawk 1,000, information is Sierra.
Austrian 212, information Sierra on board, clear to Linate, Rattenberg 3 Alpha, climb 10,000, squawk 1,000.
Austrian 212, read the correct, startup approved.
Startup approved, Austrian 212, and do we need pushback on this position, or can we taxi straight out?
If you have the wingtip clearance, you may taxi straight out.
Yep, we do. Then we're going to start up on stand, Austrian 212.
Lauda 1344.
That makes things easier. Okay, 10,000. Rattenberg 3 Alpha, squawk 1,000.
So, Lauda 1344, Innsbruck 128-975, goodbye.
128-975, Lauda 134, thanks a lot, good evening.
Radar 17 Hotel Romeo, Wien Radar 134.350, goodbye.
Okay, so let's do the full checklist just because we had to restart simulator to make sure we didn't forget anything.
Radar 17 Hotel Romeo, contact Wien Radar 134.350, goodbye.
134.350, Rainer 17 Hotel Romeo, please.
So, services check, maintenance status check, battery on, electric hydraulic pumps on, landing gear lever down, chips library checked, RS mode selectors, nav, gear pins, 1 to 3 removed, glide test checked, oxygen chest 100%, yaw damper on, nav transfer display switches, normal auto, fuel. We need 4.3, we have 4.3, 4 pumps on. Cabin utility FE galley power on, emergency exit lights armed, fast modes on, window heat on, air compressed, PAX auto bleeds on set, press mode selector, auto, instruments cross checked, auto brakes, RTO, hydraulics, normal, speed brake. Down attempt, parking brake, set, start from cutter switches, normal, wheel fire warning checked, radius radar transponder, set and alt off, rudder and aileron trims 3-0, take a briefing disgusting, PA complete, FMC CDU, set, M1 IS box, we have automatic and reduced 22k, speeds 212326 set, step trim 6.6 set, performance weight balance, and send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flight of windows and cockpit door, locked, doors closed, no. So, and we're on the APU. So you can go, and you can go. Just like the trucks as well. So we have our startup clearance. And everything's ready. Can quickly set the courses to the runway tracks. Not that it would matter a lot, but why not? Okay, so below the line. Air compacts off, anti-collision on, parking brake, set, transponder out off, before start check is complete. So, are they moving the blast loader? Probably not while the beacon is on. Let's just put... Oh yeah, there we go. As soon as the beacon is off. They probably just ran off when the beacon came on, being right behind the engine. My mistake. Yeah, I should have checked that actually everything was clear. Alright, here we go. So, beacon back on, starting number 2.
Whiskey 7 via Lima, exit 3.
Whiskey 7 via Lima at exit 3,
and 2.
Alpha Echo, ciao.
Yoke 1 Alpha Echo, let's make it Whiskey 6 so that the Austrian 737 may taxi out without pushback.
Oh, Whiskey 6, danke.
And 2, all press, and 1. And Bootwin, for your question about virtual performance tool, can you remind me when we're in cruise? Because that is a little bit more complicated topic, and I would like to get into detail about it.
Condor 5 Lima Echo, München 127.950, goodbye.
München 127.950, Dankeschön, schönen Abend. Condor 5 Lima Echo, ciao Alex.
Gleichfalls, ciao, ciao.
Just like, by the way, I'm going to answer most of the other questions while we're en route. So, started cutout, monitor 2, isolated pack, starting 1.
Link 1-1, ready when reaching.
Link 1-1, danke, wind 330 degrees for knots.
And 2, all pressure, and 1.
Clear takeoff, runway 33, Link 1-1.
Starter cutout, monitor 1, number 1 stable. Guys, I'm going to answer more questions after we got airborne, okay? just want to be sure that we actually get going in a moment. Flight controls, up, down, left, right, rudders, left and right. B4 taxi checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches, continuous, probe heat on, anti-ice off, air conditioning. Pax auto bleeds on, isolation valve, auto, flaps. That's 5 required, 5 selected and green light. Step trim, 6.6 set. Before, start levers, idle detent, flight controls checked and recall checked before taxi checks complete.
Thank you.
Austrian 212, request taxi.
Austrian 212, taxi holding point, runway 33 via exit 4 and Lima, QNH 1021.
Austrian 212, taxi holding point, runway 33 via exit 4 and Lima, QNH 1021. Okay, clear left and clear right. Exit 4 is the one just behind us. So, brake released. Config, checked. And advise when you're ready to copy your releasing. And straight out. So let's be sure about that wingtip clearance.
Negative 4060.
Yeah, that's all clear.
4060 my chart.
And clear left. Clear right. So that is exit 4 over here.
Airlink 11, radar contact 2600 feet, climb flight level 150.
Climb flight level 150, Airlink 11.
Lufthansa 2 Mike Charlie?
Lufthansa 2 Mike Charlie, we get 2 minutes out of cockpit after we are ready to complete the reclaim.
Ja, negativ, ich muss euch jetzt auf ein Direct schicken, das geht so nicht. Ihr müsst jetzt direkt nach Retro bitte. Romeo Echo Delta Bravo Uniform.
Lufthansa 2 Mike Charlie, kein Problem, direct Retro.
Lufthansa 2 Charlie, Roger and report back.
Turn radar, Walker 1772, receive,
Walker 1772, Wien radar, hello radar, contact, descent flight level 170.
Please repeat for 1772.
Walker 1772, hello radar, contact, descent flight level 170.
Before takeoff checks to the line. Config, check, flaps, 5.
Airlink 11,
5, green light, damp trim, 6.6 set. Take a briefing. Left sea takeoff, runway. Austrian 212, runway 33, cleared for takeoff. Okay, takeoff briefing. Left sea takeoff, runway 33, flaps 5, NADP 2, speeds 212326. And the sit straight out left turn, climbing flight level 100, climbing altitude 10,000 feet. And we have an EO sit going straight out to Salzburg VOR, climbing at 5,000, that's going to be safe. Any questions? Okay, then, holding at cabin. And we have our takeoff clearance already, so let's go ahead.
Oscar Kilo Golf Charlie Romeo 1 minute to 3 bin.
And below the line. MCP, set, transponder, TARA, strobe lights on, landing lights on, before takeoff checks complete.
Ryanair 742 November, Unicom, enjoy your flight.
Unicom, Ryanair 742 November, just. Your radar, good evening, this is 1531.
Okay, clear on the right, clear on the left.
This is a 1531, Wien radar, hello radar, contact. Expect RMP approach runway 16 center, descent flight level 10.
Whoa, that's quite some bright lead-in lights.
What you would expect,
okay, timing.
RMP approach runway 16 center and to descent flight level 120 after 1531.
Stabilized. Set takeoff thrust.
Romeo Oscar November Oscar Tango.
Takeoff thrust set, indications normal.
Roger, proceed to Ronald Lufthansa 151.
Walker 177.
Checked.
Descent flight level 10.
V1 rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up.
to my cloud inspect action. Yankee, Victor X-ray, Wien.
LNF.
Victor 1772, Walker.
Yankee, Victor X-ray, Wien.
Yankee Victor.
Yankee Victor X-ray, observe you stationary. I need to continue. I have traffic that is supposed to pass behind you. Please continue your flight.
Negative, we're not stationary for Alpha Victor X-ray.
Yeah, you have been for the past 2 minutes, sir.
Oh, maybe the interconnection was broken, sorry.
Okay, back up.
Walker 1772, descent, flight level 10.
Descent 120.
And flaps 1. Austrian 2 and 2, passing 4,300, climbing 10,000, Rattenberg 3, Romeo.
Austrian 212, radar contact, climb flight level 10.
Austrian 2 and 2, climb flight level 120. Set. 120 checked. Flaps up. That's set standard.
Lufthansa 1531.
Passing 47, climbing 120.
PNH 1019er.
10,000 feet on 120.
I'm always impressed by the climb gradient. If you see that this is the runway and see how fast we are climbing, that is really impressive. Gotta love it. Okay, flaps up, no lights. VNAV. And the after takeoff checklist.
679er, Wien radar, hello radar contact 44073.
I can impress. 2.6 climbing and set. Altimeters. Standard twice, and we can make that 3 times.
So 1772, last.
Standard 3 times, passing 71, climbing 120.
10 left.
After takeoff checklist complete.
Walker 1772, Roger, expect to.
So, a couple more of your questions, guys. Goodwin, I'll get to your question at a bit of a higher altitude when we actually have the time.
Traffic.
Vertical speed.
Lufthansa 1531, descent 9,000 feet.
Continue down 9,000 feet, Lufthansa 1.
Austrian 212, expect higher in approximately 4 minutes to airplane.
Austrian 2 and 2, roger. Altimeters passing 104, climbing 120, 10 checks. The fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on, the lights are off, APU off, air can impress. 4.0 climbing set, fasten belts. Yeah, we can put them to auto. Recall checked 1 to 1.5.
Followed by the MOCAC 1 Whiskey transition. Abiri to Alpha arrival, MOCAC 1 Whiskey transition.
Monitoring 10 checks complete, and we've got 1 to go.
Abiri 2 Alpha arrival via MOCAC 1 Whiskey.
Yes. So, Luca, can I explain what the reverse L technique for the pressurization is? I did that in the climb tutorial video. In there you can find a detailed explanation on the reverse L technique. Ron G, any tips for a new VATSIM pilot that's afraid about the first online flight? 1 moment. 128.975 for Austrian 2 and 2. Thanks, cheers. Oh.
With the 1414, right to Romeo Tango Tango.
Info Radar, guten Abend, Austrian 2 and 2, flight level 120 in Rattenberg.
Austrian 2, 1, 2, good evening to you. Info Delta, expect localizer DME east approach.
Austrian 2 and 2, information Delta, but we will not find any localizer DME East approach at Milano, where we are going to.
Austrian 212, sorry about that. Continue as filed.
As filed, Austrian 212. Maintaining level 120, we're looking for level 260.
Austrian 212, climb level 160 initially.
Climb level 160, Austrian 212.
With the 1414,
Set.
turn right.
160 checked. VNAV. That was lovely. He immediately assumed in Rattenberg I have to be an arrival into Innsbruck. While indeed, I'm just passing through its airspace. I guess they don't have that too often on VATSIM. Right, come on, don't overdo it. Vertical speed.
November Quebec Lima identified plan. Climb 10,000 feet.
So, Ron, tips for new VATSIM pilot of freight for the first online flight. I would recommend you to check out your local VATSIM division, and maybe they have a mentoring service available. For example, in VATSIM Germany there is a pilot mentoring program where you can get a mentor who is going to guide you through your first online flights. And on the network there are also regular first wings events, which are designed for people doing their very first flight on the network. So that's what I would recommend you to do. Check out your local VATSIM division and see if they have any mentoring service, and either you find a mentor over there, or you reach out for the first wings event. I believe they have one per week or one every second week, so a lot of you to check there.
Lauda 1344 from
And Deep Zera, am I using any ground texture mod? No, not at the moment.
From Romeo Tango Tango cleared localized DME approach, Lauda 1344.
Fantastic FN, do I have any recommendations for aspiring pirate? Yeah, pirates, of course. No, for aspiring pirates I have one recommendation as well. Go to the Caribbean, get a lovely ship, and try not to let that piece of gold fly into the water. Alright, so, do I have any recommendations for aspiring pilots in high school? Like maybe certain recommended course, or a good GPA for a pilot, maybe even learning a second language? Well, of course English as a second language. If you speak English as a mother tongue, then the second language is a bit harder to pick. Many airlines are going to require you to speak their native language if you want to apply there.
112 contact München 134150, goodbye.
134150 Austrian 212, cheers.
Stations at once.
Rainer, 8 for November.
Right, so yeah. If you are looking to go abroad, then I recommend you to learn the language of the country you're most interested in. So if you ever want to work for the Lufthansa Group, then probably German would be a good choice. If you want to go for Air France, consider French. And overall, I would say Spanish is maybe, or Portuguese is maybe a good language for the aviation community. Because in those countries, especially in the Spanish-speaking countries, I've made the experience that a lot of the ground staff are not going to speak very good English, so Spanish would make it easier to communicate in those areas.
Negative 132.55.
München Radar, guten Abend, Austrian 212, flight level 160 in Mount Rattenberg.
Austrian 212, München Radar, Servus identified, climb flight level 260.
Climb flight level 260, Austrian 212.
Radar alarm 215,
set.
Flight level 190.
260 checked. VNAV.
215, München Radar,
That's 260 set once, twice, and 3 times. Monitoring 121.5. I'm just going to help myself with that Rattenberg NDB with the 2 designators. Okay, so, apart from that, recommendations for aspiring pilots in high school.
170, Iberia 3025.
Yes, First of all, be aware of what you want to achieve. You want to become a pilot, so don't miss out on the English classes, don't miss out on the mathematics classes, don't miss out on the physics classes. So you definitely want to get an idea in there, especially English is going to be important. Physics, well, you have to develop a general understanding, but you don't have to be able to calculate the relativity theory and stuff like that.
128.975.
And similar with mathematics, you want to get a good feeling for mathematics, but you don't have to be able to calculate all those complex A-levels stuff. But surely it won't hurt to be able to do it either, and overall your scores in the different topics in school will also play a little bit of a role later on.
Very good evening.
Apart from that, try to get my main point here really is try to get used to speaking English as good as you possibly can. So do stuff in English as often as you can. Watch English movies, watch English series, speak with people.
Okay, we're switching to standard.
For example, on VATSIM you have the opportunity to do radio communications in English, but maybe you can find some people in a Facebook group or something whom you can go out on flights with to practice speaking English. And that's really stuff that can help you. And apart from that, try not to focus on aviation too early. You still want to focus on getting the best results possible out of school. And then when you are finished with your school, then time has come to focus on aviation.
Connect on to 6275.
Traffic. That guy is below us. Won't play role.
Binary 39 Charlie Papa Manchada, identify climb level 310.
Climb level 310,
So, Fantastic FN, if your native language is English, then have a look at the countries around you. As said, Spanish is probably a good idea because of the many difficulties of Spanish-speaking people to communicate in English. So that's something, maybe Spanish. But if you, for example, love France and you absolutely want to go to fly for Air France, then of course choose French. If you love the Lufthansa group, go for German. You know, that's how I would choose a second language.
That's Squawk 1000.
And another question there, when I refer to English, is it speaking English or the English lit lang for UK, US? Well, honestly, it's mainly being able to communicate in English without problem. And whether you write English or American English or Indian English or Chinese English, that's not too much of a problem, provided you use English lettering and not Chinese lettering. So, VNAV. And overall, just try to, you know, get comfortable with the language, be able to understand it in as many ways as possible.
Correction of Air 250, maintain speed 280 knots or greater. Wing 46 Foxtrot, reduce speed 250 knots or less.
Okay, so earlier on, I promised that I would be explaining something about which braking details to use there. Where was the question? Let me just scroll up. Yeah, Boudwin. In Virtual Performance Tool, how do you know if the runway is dry, good, or bad condition? Do you have some tips for the criteria for all these formulated runway conditions there? Yes. However, and on VATSIM they are still using good, or they are using dry, wet, contaminated to report the braking coefficient. And what I'm going to tell you is how we do it in real life in Europe, and that is different from what you see on most VATSIM topics. So what we have in Europe is the so-called global reporting format. And basically, a runway condition is provided in 6 numbers. So 6 means dry, 5 means braking action good, and if you have 5 or less, they are going to give you the type of contaminant and how much of the runway is actually covered. So for example, they might say runway condition 5, runway wet. Then you know, alright, it's wet. And then, if you just Google for GRF tables or something like that, that stands for Global Reporting Format. And for the Global Reporting Format, you have several tables how to determine which entries to use for your onboard performance tool. But understanding the global reporting format is really what it comes down to. So mostly what you're going to see in 99% of the flights is either 6 dry or runway condition code 5 wet. And anything less than that really needs more attention going through the remaining options and through the tables. But best just to Google for that in order to get some more details on what they mean exactly. So Jane, please tell me about A330neo. To be honest, I can't tell you too much about it because I have not really used the headwind A330neo. So I'm not the right guy to ask there. I'm sure you will find somebody more competent with the A330neo than me. So, Duarte non cares. Hello Emmanuel, I'm in high school. What's your opinion on whether or not to take a course at university? I'm Portuguese, going to open days at local schools. I would recommend everybody to start with the pilot training as early as you can. But, one moment, radio.
Milano, 127.45,
127.45, Austrian 212, cheers.
Austrian 5 from the Golf stop, descendable 340.
So, 127.45. Milano, buongiorno, Austrian 212, flight level 260, inbound Apkiss.
Austrian 212, Milano, ciao, radar contact, Lucille to Alpha arrival, ILS 236 Linate.
Lucille to Alpha arrival, ILS Zulu 36 Linate, and we have light turbulence, Austrian 212.
Austrian 92, Echo November, present position, direct Bantu, Victor Alpha.
I love the Italian accent. I love it. Right, I'm gonna turn that ATC up again because I love the Italian so much.
Lufthansa 22 Golf, descend now, flight level 190.
Chuck the monkey with JL. What kind of a username is that? What does JL stand for? Why did you recycle the flight directors earlier in the video? That's because on the visual part of the circling they didn't provide any useful information, so when they don't give useful information I just remove them from my view. And the reason you recycle them rather than just turning them off is because in case of a go-around they will be available again.
Yes, it was
if you recycle them rather than just turning them off.
Transalia 261, Roger, taxi to holding point, Bravo, runway for right, via Mike, Sierra Bravo. Roger, taxi holding point, Bravo, 0 for right, via Mike, Sierra and Bravo, Transalia 261.
Alright, let's start with our setup already and have a look at Milano Linate.
Mike, Juliet,
Actually,
radar contact,
I haven't been there very often yet. I really haven't been there very often. So, let's take a little bit of time for preparation for the approach. Even though it does look fairly
Roger, check your
straightforward going to the
5417, thank you.
An ILS Zulu 3 5. 3.5 or 3.6? It says 3.6 on here, on all the Navigraph charts. 3.5 in the IRAD data. Oh well. Won't make a difference, we know which runway he's talking about. So, I've put the charts on the screen for you guys. Over here, as always, Jefferson charts provided to the FlightSim community by Navigraph. So let's see, final approach track 353. And 109.55.
Oscar Mike Juliet, Dalet Breno, Bravo Romeo, Echo November Oscar. French Baguette 7513, contact Nice approach 134, decimal post
was that French
Cologne.
Baguette? Is he really calling himself French Baguette? That's an excellent call sign. Love it.
CPSC disconnected, Unicom 128, ciao.
Milano radar, do you have Walker 2269er, establishing run Genoa, ready to copy a report.
Walker 2269er, Milano radar, Roger, clear to destination München via Genova 8.
Regarding the standing water in the OPT, you have good at the braking condition, and good actually means wet. So it's good braking action on a wet runway. And for standing water, you would get that from the runway condition code. So, for example, runway condition code 4, standing water 4 mm depth would be reported. So for a wet runway in Flight Simulator, you can always use good in virtual performance too.
Ryanair 39 Charlie Papa, Milano radar Cologne, radar contact, every 3 echo arrival, ILS Zulu 3 for left Malpensa.
Every 3 echo for the ILS Zulu 3 for left,
Austrian 312, Milano radar, I check your flight level, you're southbound, so descent flight level 250.
Austrian 212, descent flight level 260, correction, 250.
250.
Yep, 250, sorry.
Right. Lufthansa 22 Golf, contact Milano radar, frequency 126.75.
So, let's actually fill out a little bit of FMC stuff here. We are gonna take 250 below flight level 100. Forecast page.
Milano radar, Roger, taxi, correction, runway 4 right.
Where is my weather? Where is my weather?
Yeah, for takeoff 04 right, contact 261.
It just seems a little bit broken at the moment. That is unfortunate. We'll take 1015. So, winds at 200, winds at 100, and execute request. Reset MCP altitude. No, we are gonna maintain 250. Here we are. That's making it easier. .1015, and then let's have a quick look at the routing in here. So, from Lusail we'll go via the NDB and then pretty much straight in for the airport. That's making things easy. That's the way I like it. And the forecast uplink is ready.
November 778, Milano radar, welcome back. Bronze flight level, question set, squawk
so,
code
before. 35, it won't take that, so 36 actually. And we'll take 75, 10 and 4.
You're welcome.
Milano, ciao, buonasera.
Right, we're burning 500 kilos for a landing weight of 51.3.
Ryan 12 Foxtrot, Milano radar.
That's going to be a flap 30 landing. Looking at the charts over here, we'll have to vacate all the way at the end. So they say to vacate via Juliet. We can also take Golf, I believe. It makes taxi a bit shorter, but we'll just ask A to C. Nah, actually we can't make Juliet, so Golf at the end. 2,400 meters, we'll need 1,800.
Expect ILS Zulu 35 left Malpensa.
Every 3 Echo arrival and ILS Zulu 35 left.
And auto brake 3, of course.
Right,
so that should pretty much be it for the approach. I'll keep it at that for the briefing. Seems like a fairly straightforward airport, really.
November 778, Milan identified, climb flight level 120. You are northbound, so you must have flight level 120. And November 778, Milan. Go ahead. November 778, for information, in Italy is not required. Insert the SID and the stars in agreement with our normative, with our regulations, sir. For information, Idona 2 Romeo, then Amozzi 1 Hotel arrival, ILS Zulu 36 Linaten. After Idona,
so,
1 Hotel for ILS.
Let's see real quick. Duarte, can I fish? The answer ATC interrupted.
Partially correct is the 2 segment. Idona 2 Romeo, then Amozzi 1 Hotel.
To be totally honest, I kinda lost where I was. Can you just remind me what I've been saying, and then I will be glad to finish it. Sorry. And Jab Z, what do I use the rings for? Basically, I use them for 3 times the cruise altitude. Is basically something that reminds us for the top of descent. And then you have the 10-mile ring, and there you want to have a maximum of 200 knots ground speed and at least flap 1 and 3,000 feet above the field. And the 4-mile ring is where we're going to extend the flaps and the landing gear. And Boudwin, for the millimeters of water, check the GRF table. No, the millimeters would be given on the ATIS. So the report would look something like runway condition code, runway 14 left, runway condition code 4 millimeters of standing water, as an example.
Oscar Mike Juliet, Milano radar, approaching Breno, contact Innsbruck, frequency 128,975, ciao.
12975, ciao, Oscar Milano radar, good day, Lufthansa 5 Charlie Echo, inbound Lugano, passing flight level 135.
Lufthansa 5 Charlie Echo, Milano radar, ciao. Radar contact, wrong planned flight level, you must have an even flight level for Italy, 320 or flight level 300.
I would prefer 320 Lufthansa Charlie Echo.
Lufthansa 5 Charlie Echo, Roger, continue climb flight level 320, direct Abesi, Alpha Bravo Echo Sierra India.
Climb 320, direct Abesi.
Ale, if they say cleared approach, do you have to descend on your own to the published glide? Well, technically, when they say cleared for the ILS approach, you're also cleared to descend to the platform altitude. But it's always a good idea to ask ATC if they really want you to descend down, or if they want you to maintain your flight level until you intercept the glide. Boudwin, the GRF information is given on the ATIS.
Transavia 261, to all other station please stand by. Transavia 261, Milano radar climb flight level 290, direct boarding please.
Climb flight level 290, and please say again the point, we don't have enough in our flight plan.
It's in your flat plan, it's Bordi, Bravo Oscar Romeo, Delta India.
Yeah, sorry, I got it, Bordi, direct, Professor 65.
Ethiopian 711 Heavy, Milano, ciao, set 5403.
Squawk 5473, Ethiopian 711.
Negativo 5403.
Fantastic, Stefan, that's a good one.
Really
If you need to go around on VATSIM, just say that the reason for the go-around is that a KFC family bucket of chicken was left unattended in the aircraft's microwave, which led to fire. Just me. I'm gonna do that next time. I'm gonna do that next time.
Roger, descent flight level 160, contact Milano radar, frequency 12675, ciao.
So, reset MCP altitude.
Good evening, this is Scarborough. With your X-ray with you,
Two station calling, stand by, Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo, please continue descent flight level 160, contact Milano radar, frequency 126.75.
Yeah, nice. Milano finally coming up down over there.
Austrian 212, descend flight level 210, contact Milano radar, frequency 126.75, ciao.
Descend flight level 210 and 126.75, Austrian 212, ciao. So, 126.75. And down we go.
Milano, Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo, inbound Dixer, descending follow towards for 160. Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo.
Lovely looks. Lovely, lovely looks.
Descent follow 100, Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo.
Milano, ciao, Austrian 212, descending flight level 210 in Mount Lucio.
Austrian 212, ciao, Milano radar, identify descent for level 150.
Descend flight level 150, Austrian 212. Set, 150 checked.
Ryanair 0436, descent flight level 150.
Descend 150,
So, what's the predicted landing time here? 53. So we'll put the seatbelts on, 38.
Continue 4,000 feet, transporting off.
Well, let's not bother with it, we'll just put him on now. Lights too dim, it's getting late after all.
Ryanair 0436, direct Bonn, Oscar Golf, Victor, Oscar, November.
Direct Bonn, Ryanair 0436.
Right, slowly but steadily, we are making our way. That view is just amazing, isn't it? I just really can't get enough of this simulator and its looks. This is really, really amazing.
110, Charles Milano identified, climb level 200. Oscar 212, descent to level 100.
Austrian 212, descend flight level 100. Set. 100 checked.
Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo, descend flight level 80.
Descent flight level 90, Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo.
Radar, good evening, Ryanair 39 Charlie Papa, descending flight level 190, losing.
Ryanair 39 Charlie
Tractor
Papa,
money. Is PMDG going to make the yoke digits functional in the future? Do you mean the memory device over here? Cause that is functional already. You can set them here as you like, scrolling on them.
Level 120.
Ryanair 046, confirmed 130. 130. Italy 110, right direct stop. Italy 110, right, turn the right direct stop.
Right direct stop.
So, not really a lot to say. Finally, I have to say. Talking all flight long can sometimes be a little bit exhausting, you know. So, I'm just taking this time to enjoy the views over here. Not having to say something for a short while. Just enjoying this absolutely beautiful approach.
Golf, right direct in left.
Right direct in left.
Austrian 212, want to go to central level 80.
Austrian 212, descend flight level 80. Set.
39 Charlie Papa.
And 80 checked.
ILS to Zulu and 35 left.
Copy, expecting ILS to lose 35 left, 79.
Center to the Golf, clear the left approach, coming 35 left, report to touch.
ANL Prober, will the EFB have takeoff and landing OPT with landing non-normal checklist adjustments? I don't say 100%. I don't. 1 moment. Continue descent 6,000 feet, QNH 1016, Austrian 212. Set. 6,000 checked. Set altimeter 1016. Passing 13,900 and 6,000, no flags, stand by set. And we'll put the transition level of 70 in. That fixes the magenta around the altimeter here. Right. So, will the EFB have takeoff and landing OPT with non-normal checklists? I have not gotten any confirmation from the PMDG staff about that, but I am fairly sure that it is going to have them. I would not know any reason why it should not have them, so I'm pretty sure it will be. And Navism 101, what's the correct seating position? According to the AFCOM, you have to have free view on the primary flight display. You must be able to see the auto brake disarm light over here, and you have to be able to see a little bit of the top of the glare shield. So if I put the lights on, I'd say this roundabout comes pretty close to the correct position. Now in real life, of course, usually you're still a little more relaxed in the back, but round about this.
Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo, confirm direct 6
Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo, we don't have Jackson in our flight plan. We are right now 10 miles inbound in Bergamo, Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo.
Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo, taxi vectoring runway 28, turn right heading 100.
Roger, expect vectors for runway 3.
Altimeters, passing 10,000, descending 6,000, 10 checks. Fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on, the lights are on, angle of bank 25, air cannon press, 3.6 descending set, fast modes on, recall checked, 1 to 1.5, deselected, and that's the 10 checks complete.
2905 knots, 35 left, clear to land.
35 left, clear to land, passing Golf.
Milano radar air on 1175 at 5,000 feet.
Air on 1175, the Charlie Milano identified, climb flare level 200.
Climb flare level 20 air on 1175.
Austrian 212, descend 4,000 feet.
Austrian 2 and 2, descend 4,000 feet. Set, 4,000 checked. Let's do a frisk then. Frequencies 109.55. Rings runway 36, 10, 4. Addons are in your lead November Tango twice. Standby instruments set, and the course is 353. Approach checklist. Altimeters instruments, trust check, approach rates, check and set. Approach checklist complete.
Display level 150, 9 hours, Foxtrot.
After 212 after Cologne, MDB, cleared direct, zero approach, runway 36, level to start.
Austrian 2 and 2 from Colonial NDB, cleared ILS Zulu 36, Wilco. Okay, clear for the approach. No wind, cleared for the approach, that's just perfect. Just update the direct to the NDB to update the FMC's wind prediction. Let's just use a bit of speed brake to get that speed down to 250.
Ryanair 0436 after Osborne, are you able to rejoin the star via Mike Echo 632?
Okay, and we're clear to the for the approach, so we can descend to an altitude of 3,000 feet.
Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo, expedite descent 4,000.
Descending 4,000 feet.
Hey guys, I'm going to answer the remainder of the questions after we have landed, okay? So keep asking your questions, I'll answer them when we are at the gate.
Ryanair 1444, descend by level 120, direct Mike Charlie 761. Ryanair 1244, descend by level 120, direct Mike Charlie 761.
Direct Mike Charlie 761, descend at level...
One to go.
Level 1.
Okay, we'll just start slowing down manually here. Let's go vertical speed and turn that down.
Charlie Papa, descend 4,000 to the level Mike Charlie 761.
Descend 4,000 level Mike Charlie 761.
Ryanair 536 Tango Kilo, left direct 310 degrees.
Left 310 degrees, Ryanair 536 Kilo.
It's interesting, VNAV brought us in really low on this one. Probably should have kept us a little bit higher for a bit longer. But I can raise that with the developers. VNAV is still a little bit of work in progress now, especially with the new LNAV model coming up. Okay, clear for the approach, we have sensible indications, approach mode armed. Waller captured.
Continue descent flight level 80, runway 125.
Formatting 353.
Traffic Golfo, welcome to Malpensa, ground 121.9, ciao.
121.9, ciao.
Ryanair 56 Tango Kilo stop descend,
Flap on,
4,500
speed checked.
feet.
Stop descent 4,500 to Ryanair 516 go.
Ryanair 39 Charlie Papa, probably will be little more than 4,000 feet over Mike Charlie 761, probably 5,000.
Ryanair 39 Charlie Papa, 5,000 feet.
Thank you.
Austrian 212, confirm established parameter 36.
Austrian 212, localizer established. Class for capture, flap 5.
Linate Tower, frequency 118.4, ciao.
118.4, Austrian 212, chap. Okay, 18.4. I planned to wait until we were established on the glide slope to report it, but doesn't matter.
2,500.
Train noted. Linate Tower, Buonasera. Austrian 212 established on the ILS Zulu 36.
Austrian 212 Linate Torre, buonasera. Runway 36, clear to land, wind 120 degrees, 5 knots.
Runway 36, clear to land, Austrian 212. Autopilot disconnect. Gear down, flap 15. Landing checklist. Start switches, continuous, recall, checked, speed brake, armed green light, landing gear, down 3 green, auto brake, 3 set. Flaps 30, speed checked, flaps 30. And set veer of +5.
1,000.
Checked. Flaps 30, 30, green light, landing lights on, landing checklist complete. That's a lovely view of Bergamo, I say, sorry. Bergamo's to the right there. That's a lovely view of Milano there, isn't it? That's what I really love the simulator for. The visuals are amazing. 500 continue.
Plus 100.
Checked.
Minimums.
Continue.
$50, $40, $30, $20, $10.
And speed brake up. Thrust burst normal. Idle. 100 knots. Manual brakes. Auto brakes disarm. We'll let it roll to the end. 80 knots. $60 knots.
November 28 Bravo Charlie, readability is 0.
And here we are. Welcome to Linate.
November 28 Bravo Charlie, Linate Torre, buonasera, runway 36, line up and Austrian 212, contact ground on frequency 121 decimate, shoot.
121 decimate, Austrian 212, ciao. Ground, ciao, Austrian 212, runway vacated on Golf.
Welcome to Linate, taxi via Alpha, stand number 1.
By Alpha, stand number 1, and you have a lot of static in the background, Austrian 212. Okay, Alpha is to the left, and then stand number 1 is straight ahead. Okay, easy going. So we're going to the left over here. So that's the stand we're looking for. And we have our 3 minutes there. Engine 2 shutdown. Is that a marshal over there? Ah, but he's not doing anything. Okay, then we just gotta park ourselves. Well, this should pretty much do. So, 2 blue, 1 red, engine's dead. Okay. Right, so we have 20%, full shutdown checklist. Fuel pumps, 1 on, electrical, APU, fasten belts, off, windward off, propede, auto, anti-ice, off, electric hydraulic pumps, off, voice recorder, auto, air compacts, auto, engine bleeds, on, APU bleed, off, exterior lights, steady logo and wheel well. Start switches, off, auto brakes, off, speed brake, down intent, flaps, up and light, parking brake, set, start levers cut off, weather radar, off, transponder, 2000 standby, CB-RCB in, and cockpit door unlocking. That's the shutdown checklist complete. Then this time, hopefully without a crash to desktop, let's try to get ourselves our ground handling. Come on. Here we are. Okay, request our ground power. At the same point, we will be exiting via jetways. And you guys can get us the loaders already. Probably waiting for the power. Yeah. Jetway request. And here they come. Okay, then start deboarding, and you can start unloading cargo in a moment. So here we are. Made it all the way to Milano Linate. So, now time to answer a couple of your questions. Let's see. I'll start in the reverse order, with the questions asked last to be answered first. So, Ufran, why did I press level change so many times? Because there is a 50-50 chance that it's going to turn your MCP speed to 100. That just saves me having to turn the button. It's a little bit easier. Small trick a line trainer captain showed me once. Grant, does disengaging the autopilot shut off the auto throttle? No, they are separate buttons. And anal prober. Butter unequals good. Agreed. But butter on the aiming point, provided it's not absolutely soft, but still a visible touchdown, like I believe I had, then it's alright. And I've actually done a full video on those, if you are interested. Then, going a little bit further upwards, Ugur 10, I hope you'll make a live about Paro Romeo 15. Not sure if I am going to make a live out of it, because if I'm totally honest with you, I'd probably rather have a couple of practice attempts first. D. Villiers, do I still fly the Honda Jet? Consider buying it, but I'm not sure if it's better than the citation from working title. Well, better than the working title is hard. To be honest, the working title is probably a little more feature complete, because the Proline 4 suite of avionics that it has is just so much simpler than the G3000 in real life. And they did a very good job at the Proline working title, so the CJ4 is really good airplane. Now, the Honda Jet is still a lovely aircraft though, and I would absolutely recommend it. I mean, it's 25 euros, it doesn't cost the whole world, and it's a fun thing to fly for that price. Then, Boudwin, do you usually disengage autopilot and auto throttle at the same time during landing? Why or why not? Yes, I do. And why is that? Because I don't want auto thrust to increase or decrease my thrust, which also creates a pitching moment in the 737. So I just want to do that all on my own. That makes flying the airplane a little bit easier. Hey, Null Prober, don't know if you saw my comment earlier because I ducked, but I was on a 737 cockpit once pre-flight, and while flying had to enter all winds for 5-hour sectors. Rich carrier but no data link. Well, in my company we don't have to. It's optional. If we want to, we can enter them, but on the really long sectors we fly from my home base, which is like 4.5 to 5 hours. It probably makes a difference of 1 minute in the predicted arrival time. So what's the sense in it? Why should I bother? Sorry. Why should I bother doing that? You know, it doesn't make a difference. It just doesn't make a difference. And nope, no data link my carrier either. And yeah, it is a rich carrier. So, going a little bit further up. Yeah, Andrew. Quote, you deserve the break. I'm sure it's been incredibly busy flying for the last few weeks in Europe. Quote end. Yeah, I definitely need that small break. Just yesterday was supposed to land at around midnight-ish, and it actually became 4 o'clock. So yeah. You start a late shift, the airplane's coming in an hour and a half late, and then you are getting slots as well, so that's really all you have to say. these days. Fantastic FM. I don't know if I'm sad or happy with the go-around that didn't happen. Well, I'm rather happy about it. I witnessed a quite messed up situation yesterday, where an aircraft initiated takeoff roll without clearance, and then took 3 attempts by air traffic control to make it stop, so it was in the high-speed regime already. By the time it stopped, so it had to stop on the runway, blocked the runway, and then 4 aircraft behind it had to go around. And the airport at that time only had 1 runway available, so it was quite a messed up situation. Until that airplane could clear the runway, the airport was pretty much blocked, and that during the prime arrival time. So I'm rather happy I could just do standard 0815 flights, as we say in Germany, 0815. Germans surely know what that means. I'm pretty glad I didn't have to do any special stuff today. The circling approach was all I needed. Right, Budwin, thank you very much. Looking forward to see you again next time as well. Fantastic FN, how can you know if some airlines use the auto uplink? To be honest, my best source of information about that is just to watch either just planes videos, if there are some, or just Google for YouTube videos for them. That's, I believe, the best source of information you can get if you cannot find any of that information by just Googling for it straight away. Right, if you guys have further questions, let me know. I'll be waiting a couple of minutes, see if there is anything more from you. There is a slight delay, by the way, between the time I'm reading your comments and you are actually reading my answers. And that is because my internet is not the fastest, so it's taking around about 30 seconds up to a minute delay between when I'm saying something here and when you are actually hearing it on the stream. So that's why I'm just giving it a little bit of time, see if there's any more questions. Fantastic FN, how do you know... Oh, sorry, we had that. Grant, when do you go throttles idle? Just before touchdown? Yeah, basically you start reducing thrust between 20 and 30 feet, and your thrust is supposed to reach the idle the moment you touch down. Andrew, thank you very much. Looking forward to see you again next time as well. Hopefully it's not going to be as long as it's been before today. Right, looks like there aren't too many more questions. I mean, it's late already, so thank you very much, guys, for joining today. Hope you found this one interesting, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one. Hopefully over the next couple of days I'll have another live stream, or maybe 2. But we'll have to see about it. They're after long flying days again, so we'll have to see how these things turn out. Ah, and finally, one last question. Nikemo, what's the biggest difference transferring from the 700 to the 800? That's the risk of a tail strike and the elevator deadband during rotation. That means that in the 800 at 7.5 degrees pitch, or at 8 degrees pitch to be exact, you have to add quite a bit of elevator to keep the rotation at a constant rate, because the tailplane, the stabilizer, enters the turbulence from the wing. And then at 10 degrees pitch you're getting out of it again, and then you have to relax the control column again. So maintaining a constant rate during the rotation is really the biggest difference in the 800 to the 700. Right, so guys, thank you very much, and Chebas85, in the meantime, could you show us a full shutdown procedure? Alright, I'm going to do that. Let's do the full shutdown. And then that's really going to be it. Third time I'm saying it now. So, first of all, IRS off. We'll put it on the ground power, shut down the APU. Should have done that long ago already. Packs off, emergency lights off once all passengers are out. Then basically we're waiting for the IRS align light to extinguish. If you shut the power down while the align light is still on, then chances are that when the next crew takes the airplane and starts the pushback, that the IRS alignment is going to drop out, and then they have to do a full realignment after the pushback, which is not something you would particularly want. So, align lights are out. Then, since I've just shut down the APU, it takes 60 seconds as well until it's shut down and the APU inlet door is closed. So once that is closed, once the APU is shut down, all we have to do then is shut down the ground power and the battery. Now, don't shut the battery while the APU is still running, because otherwise the APU air inlet door is going to stay in the open position. And birds particularly like that place. So now it's shutting down. Give it a short more while until the door is closed. 60 seconds they say. Then basically from the normal full shutdown, make sure the IRS is off, packs off, trim air off if you have an 800 or 900, emergency exit lights off, APU off. Now it's shut down, ground power off, battery off. That's it. That's the full shutdown. Right, guys. Wow, Dominic, just in time with the last question, but you're the last today. Have a question about the rudder. How can I taxi in P3D with volant only? Could you specify what you mean with that, with volant only? And just in case you guys are wondering why the cabin lights are still on, even though we have shut down all the power, that's because the aircraft has a so-called ground service bus that is located on the cabin attendant station. And when that is pressed, it basically powers up the electricity in the cabin only, while the rest of the aircraft and the flight deck is shut down. Okay, Dominic, for example, I want turn left or right and it is impossible. The aircraft is going straight. Okay, that sounds like there is a setting in the FMC options. I'm not 100% sure what it's called in the P3D version, because I haven't flown that since about a year or so. But there is a setting if you want to simulate a tiller, or if you just want to use your rudder pedals. Best make sure that that's set to rudder pedals only. And should I do something in options but auto rudder doesn't work? Yeah, don't worry about auto rudder. Actually, please post your question in the PMDG forums, because I'm really not 100% sure, okay? So please put it in the PMDG forums, and I'm sure you're going to get an answer there. And if the PMDG forums is not helping you, then try support.pmdg.com and send them a detailed description of your issue, and they are very, very good in support, so you are going to get an answer quickly. So, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. I'm looking forward to see you next time. And until then, enjoy flying the 700. And I'm sure it's not going to be too long until you can enjoy the 600 and the new LNAV model as well.